Well, happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to another live lawn care Q&A. My name is Ron Henry, and I'm here to help answer your lawn care questions. If this is the first time you've joined the channel or the live stream, first of all, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works, super simple. On your screen, you'll see a chat box, and in that chat box, you can enter your question, comment, concern of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not, but either way, we have a great time talking about lawn care. So let's see what we have in the live stream tonight. We got Damien H. I think Damien is the first time I've seen you here tonight, sir. He says, "Okay, teach me." I don't know. I'll try my best. Happy to have you here, sir. We got Shazia Chaudhry from the UK chiming in. He says, "Have a great evening, everyone. Here in the UK, we are in a week of mourning as our monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, has passed away. Funeral Monday. President Biden attending." Yeah, so I have some friends, people I work with over in the UK, and it's a really big deal. I know Monday is an official holiday, Shazia, and again, you know, it's good. It should be, because given everything that, you know, she's done, and you figure dedicating your entire life to the service of your country is a pretty big deal. So it's good that, you know, the country is taking the day to recognize, you know, all of her efforts. It's crazy, man. You figure, as long as I've been alive, which has not been that long, I've always known Elizabeth as the Queen of England, always. You know what I mean? So it's odd that's changing, but yeah. And you said you're saying the lawn's looking good, but now is the time to keep the autumn leaves off. I hear you, man. So here's the thing. I don't have that issue here, because, you know, to have leaves, you have to have trees. And other than the few little shrubs I got here and there, leaves are not a problem. And for the most part, it's still a bit early for us here over in the US stateside. It'll probably be another 6 weeks or so before the trees really start turning and the leaves fall and start making a big mess of the lawn. It's funny you bring that up, because a good friend of mine, who I train with, other martial artists, he owns a landscaping company. He says that actually this time of year, whenever they have to start collecting leaves, that's more work. That's more work than mowing, because, you know, a lot of times when they mow, they're able to mow and just, most places don't, or most customers don't request that they get their clippings bagged. But when it comes to leaves, you got to, you know, blow them all up, clean them all up, and then dispose of them. So it's a lot of headache, a lot of work. So I do not envy you guys having to deal with that. But yeah, man. All right, next up we got Jackie Bear in the house. He says, "Brother Ron, let's roll. Have an excellent stream, sir." I'm gonna do my best. Jackie, as always. And next up we got Mary J in the house. Nice to see you, Mary J. She says, "Hey, hi, my friend Ron. I'd like to share my picture of my lawn with you. Can you tell me your email address?" So I gave her my email. She sent some pictures, and I'm gonna show you guys her before and after. I think we've got that. So this is her before. You can see, I mean, it needs some love. It needs some love. We could definitely say that lawn is, it's got potential, needs some love. And this is today, right before the live stream, where she mowed it. She's mowing at 1 3/4 inches, and that looks way better. I mean, you gotta say that's a huge improvement from this to that. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's definitely filled in nicely, Mary. And the nice thing you're going to find is as you begin working on it, now that you've kind of got a recipe, a formula that works for you, as you continue working on your lawn, it's going to get even better. So just keep doing what you're doing, and it's going to keep improving. It's going to keep doing better and better. So awesome stuff. Love to see that. Love to see when people, take the time to actually learn about what they need to learn to get their lawns better, and then they actually do something about it, and you get the result. You do the work, you get the result, right? Which is very awesome. So a couple of things this week. We had a couple of questions last week. Some around, let me look here at my show notes. We got some around cudweed around Tahoma, and then 2 for Dion St. Augustine. So I'll step through those here in a little bit in the live stream, because I want to make sure that the people that asked those questions last week get their question answered. So you guys know anytime I don't have an answer, I try and go off and do some research and figure it out, and come back the following week with an answer for you. All right. Next up, we got Alexander Thomas in the house. He says, "Good evening, everyone." What's going on, Alexander? Hopefully all is going well with you, sir. And then some news, and Christopher's bringing it up, and we'll talk about it again as we get further into the show. But Real Rollers is having a really cool event on October 1st. He says, "Ron Henry better be on the VIP list for the Real Rollers party on October 1st, which is a Saturday. If not, I may have to find a new place to buy my backlapping compound." Well, don't do that. You're going to be able to find, continue supporting Real Rollers. They're a great set of guys. And yeah, I will be there. So the party is from, I can actually show you guys here. We'll pull up their Instagram. So they have a turf party at the turf park, right? From noon to 5, I believe is when it is, right? So definitely show up. There's going to be football. I think they're going to be grilling. Might be a keg involved. So if you guys are down to hang out, definitely do that. It's from noon to 5. Here's the thing. Saturday, as fate would have it, the October 1st is like one of 4 Saturdays out of the year that I absolutely cannot not be at karate, because like we have a black belt pre-test, an actual test, and in the fall a pre-test and the actual test like later on in October. So this October 1st is the pre-test. So I got to be there for that. I have to help proctor that. But so I'll be at Real Rollers from, we're going to try and get done by 2-ish, by 2:30-ish. So definitely by 3 through 5, I will be there. So that's the plan, barring obviously any unforeseen circumstances. 2:30-ish to 3, all the way until 5 o'clock is when I will be at Real Rollers. And I'm going to try and bring some toys. So if we can make it happen, I'm going to bring the Allet over there, and then maybe the Greens Master as well. So if you guys want to check it out, see it in person, you can see that, which is cool. That may be cool for you guys. So if you want to check out the C27, I think Lee and the guys will bring the A-Team van or one of the vans to help transport it there, and you guys will be able to check out the mower if that's interesting to you. So it'd be cool for you guys to come out and support the event, just to meet a lot of people. If you're in the Northeast Georgia area, or just you're close enough to where you can drive, it would be really nice to put a face with a name, or a face with the avatar actually at the turf park. So if you guys want to come hang out, I will be there. Good times. All right, next up, Shazi is saying, yeah, it's a day of mourning for the state funeral. Very good. And then we got Alex Lee in the house tonight. He says, "Good evening, everyone." Alex Lee, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who took on the task of becoming, the project lawn in the original golf course lawn series. So it's really cool that he decided to do that, which is awesome. And thanks for coming to hang out, Alex. Appreciate you as always, sir. As always. So guys, we're going to go into the first question that we had from last week. So one of them was a super chat that was around Tahoma 31, and it was from Edwin. Edwin, I'm not sure if you're here as yet. Let me get Alex off the screen here. And it was a super chat, and he says he called around, and a place called to refer to Tahoma 31 as Tahoma, and he wanted to know if there's more than one type of Bermuda called Tahoma. So I did some digging, and every time I throw in Tahoma and Bermuda grass in Google, and I search for it a couple different ways, Tahoma 31 is the one that comes up. So if there is another type of Tahoma, which is for Bermuda, like a regular Tahoma that's not 31, it's definitely not common. So I'll put it that way. So I believe when the lady you were talking to, when she was referring to Tahoma as Tahoma 31, they likely are one and the same. If anyone knows differently, definitely feel free to drop a comment in the chat. But from what I've been able to find, that the two are one and the same. There's only Tahoma 31. There's not like very different versions of it that I was able to find. One would think, though, whenever they were developing it, you got to assume that they didn't just settle on 31 for no reason. Maybe it was the 31st variant that actually they got the results. So there's maybe some other reason. Maybe the university that helped do some of the research behind it. Maybe that's the reason behind the 31. I'm sure there's a story behind that. I'm not sure what it is, though. But yeah, Edwin, if you're watching this now or later, I was not able to find another type of Bermuda that has the name Tahoma that is not Tahoma 31. So there you go. That's one question, one down. There'll be others, I am sure, that we'll go through here as we get moving through the live stream. But I want to get, work through that because one, it was a super chat from last week. And I said I'd get you an answer. So I did. Next up is VMH. He says, hey, Ron, happy Friday. What's going on, VMH? Hope you're doing well, sir. Thanks for coming to hang out as always. And we got also Jesus Prado in the house saying, good evening, Ron. All right, so our first question of the evening is from Mr. Mike Harvey. It was funny, Mike, is you had the last question last week too. So you're the first question, you're the last lawn care question last week, and you're the first one this week. So good times. He says, hey, Ron, soil test said I need a triple 12. I was going to put down a 1608 this weekend. Can I put that down and the triple 12 on Friday next week? Okay, I would do what the soil test says. If it's saying that you need a triple 12, that's pointing to me that you need phosphorus, and obviously the 1608 is not going to have that, right? So to answer your question, no, I would not apply a triple 12 this to like tomorrow and then do 1608, the following weekend, or vice versa. I wouldn't do 1608 tomorrow and then the triple 12 next week. It's too much. I mean, unless you're going to seriously back the rate down on both of them. So particularly, you could apply both of them, but you'd have to reduce the rate to ensure that you're not putting down too much nitrogen. So with the 1608, with Humic Max anyway, we applied that at 5 pounds per thousand, and that got you around half a pound of nitrogen. So if your goal was to put down, let's say 8/10, right? You could do, if you really wanted to do both products, the 1608 is burning a hole in your spreader and you want to put it down. Just make sure you back the rate down. I can't work the math out in my head. What you would do for, let me see here if I can do that really quick, times 0.12, 0.36. Yeah, so if you did the 1608 at 5 pounds per thousand, that's about half a pound of nitrogen. And then if you did the triple 12 at 3 pounds per thousand, which again is a little bit on the low side, that's going to be another 0.36 pounds of nitrogen. So that's going to get you just under 0.9, like 0.85 pounds of nitrogen, which is not terrible. That's not too much. I mean, we are starting to slow down, but this month is really the last month where I would consider doing a full feeding. Mike, I'm not sure which part of the country you're in, but if your grass is still actively growing and you want to give it a feeding and you want to, doing both of them, as long as you keep that rate low, like I said, 5 pounds per thousand on the 1608, and then 3 pounds per thousand there-ish on the triple 12. That's going to allow you to scratch your itch and get the 1608 down, which sounds like that's what you really want to do, while still also amending the deficiencies in your soil using the triple 12. So just make sure that you don't go 5 pounds and 5 pounds. Just make sure you back the rate off a little bit to ensure that you don't put too much N down, especially as we're getting, we're mid-September now. So, you don't want to be pushing too much growth at this point in the season. Let the grass just kind of do its thing. Feed it, let it do its thing. Hope that helps, sir. It's a great test. And if I can help with anything else, do let me know. All right, we got Charles Westmoreland up in the house. He says, hey, Ron, happy Friday from Northern Virginia. Trying to finish cutting while listening to the live stream and to start dethatching the lawn to prepare for seeding. Cool. Very nice. Yeah, man, this is for all you cool season guys, man. This is your go time, right? In the spring, you get to overseed. In the fall, you get to do your leveling projects and overseed. So it's really cool to see all you guys getting a chance to really get out there and do some fun projects in your lawn. Really, really cool. Nice. And I definitely appreciate that you would listen to the live stream while you're out mowing. Love that. So thanks for the support, sir. Next up is Mr. Andrew Phillips. He says, good evening, Ron, and all this great Friday. It is a great Friday, isn't it? So soil temps slowly going down, but not at the sweet spot yet. Getting my pre-emergent cocktail ready. Got my last PGR in and first in, packing it in. Yeah, so you're getting ready to hang it up, Andrew. I get it. I mean, you figure it's, we've had our time. We've had our time in the sun or in the glory. So you got your PGR down. You're going to get your pre-emergent down here. You figure it was, the high was 82 today, and right now it's 76 degrees. So we are starting to trend down. Temps are starting to trend down. So, if you haven't put your pre-emergent out yet, we're definitely within the window to do that. Definitely within the window, assuming you're in the Southeast United States, Georgia's, Florida, through Texas, from Georgia through Texas. If you're from Georgia through Texas on the southern part of the country, you're in the window for applying your pre-emergent. It's good stuff, man. All right, next up is Mike Harvey. He's back. He says, also, when I mow, tons of army moths flap from the yard, but when I do soapy water, test, no worms come to the surface. Should I treat for bugs anyway or just wait for the cold to kill them? It's your call. If you're not seeing army worms, if you're not seeing any kind of worms in the lawn, then, I mean, you don't necessarily have to put down an insecticide unless you really want to. You know, I think I've got a short video here showing what army worms at full flex looks like. I think I've got it here. So I'll keep looking for it. Well, yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay, so this is army worms in a lawn that are, you know, living their best life, destroying things. So if you don't have that kind of action going on, and again, to your point, you're doing the soapy water test and you're not seeing worms popping up. In other words, if your lawn's not moving, which it sounds like yours isn't, it's really your call whether you want to do insecticide or not. You know, I probably wouldn't unless there's a reason to actually go out there and put something down, but it's completely your call. I get it. You know what I mean? Army worms can destroy a lawn literally in days, you know, very, very quickly. So if you're worried at all, then, you know, go ahead and put your insecticide down if you want to do that. But if you're not seeing anything when you're doing your soapy water test, probably not necessary. If you want my recommendation of what I would use for them, a Celiprin. If all you're trying to treat is army worms, like active army worms, which again, doesn't sound like you have that, you could use a Celiprin SC, the concentrate, and just run this at a lower rate. So in the video that's in that's in the product description for this On the Golf Course Lawn Store, it's going to have you applying this at 0.20, which is like kind of a catch-all rate. But if all you're trying to do is just treat active army worms, which again, you don't have any indication of that, but you're trying to do this anyway, then you could back that rate down. I want to say the label, if memory serves me, is like 0.05. So literally less than that. You know, 0.1 or just a little bit under that is going to be just fine for treating an active army worm infestation, which again, doesn't sound like you have that. So hope that helps, sir. Appreciate the question. And if you can help with anything else, definitely let me know. All right. It's Audacity is up next. He says, can I mix Celsius and Prodiamine if I'm low on time, or should I do the foliar tip or soil tip from the TJet? So can you mix them both at the same? Can you do them at the same time? Yes. Is it the best way to do it? No, but it's still going to work. You're still going to get results from it, but it's not going to be as good as if you, one, had surfactant in the tank, and then two, used a foliar spray tip. So with the neighbor that's next door, the one that has the Doveweed that's trying to get into my lawn, that neighbor. So when earlier this spring, when we were spraying pre-emergent, we got the pre-emergent down and we're trying to clean up his entire lawn. I did what you were suggesting here. I did Celsius Certainty and Prodiamine, had a cocktail. I didn't put any surfactant in the tank, and I used the larger droplet. I used the flood jet, because the big thing was, hey, if I can knock back some of the weeds, great. But the big thing is to get the pre-emergent down and get that working. So I applied that, and it didn't run irrigation or anything, but it didn't rain until a few days later, and which helped work the pre-emergent in, which is it's definitely a strategy. You know, it's definitely a strategy. If you talk to some of the guys that spray lawns for a living, they'll do that. They'll put other post-emergent herbicides in the tank as well. I'm just saying that if you're trying to get the absolute best way to do it would be to use a foliar tip with surfactant and spray the weeds separately. But it's again, I get it. If you don't have time, putting Celsius and Certainty in the tank with Prodiamine, that will work. I've done it, and it does produce results. So definitely can happen, man. Only thing I would admit, if it were me, is surfactant. That's the only thing I would say. Don't. If it were me, don't do that. And I did that this spring and still got really good results, killing off a lot of the broadleaves that were in his lawn and the POA that was in his lawn as well too. So it's still going to work. Just just realize that it's not the most optimal way to go about it. Great question. Ahmad Jones is up next. He says, good evening. What do you recommend I put on my Bermuda lawn? I live in Memphis, and the temperatures are rising near 100 next week. That's wild. Actually, it's supposed to be 100 on the first day of fall. That's crazy, man. It's pretty wild. It's going to be that hot in I guess the next week. So if you've been feeding the lawn the way that I do it, right, I would not get out there and do a special fertilizer application just because you're going to have higher temperatures next week. I really wouldn't do that. So if you fed the lawn the beginning of the month, and what you applied is enough to last for 4 weeks, I would just let that ride. The only thing I would do really as far as a fertilizer, if you want to do like a winterizer type fertilizer, not now, but later on, like in late October, whatnot, you could use a lower nitrogen fertilizer, kind of like the stress blend, something with more potassium in it. like that is something that I could see doing as like a closeout for the season, but I would not go out and apply something special Ahmad just because you're going to get 100-degree temps for, which really is going to be a few days. You know what I mean? It's I'm sure, I mean, 100-degree temps in fall, yeah, that's hot weather, but it's not like it's going to be 100-degree temps for the next, 2-3 weeks. You might get 100 degrees for a day or two, 3 days maybe, and Bermuda is going to be just fine. I'm assuming, yeah, you get Bermuda, so it's going to be just fine. So I wouldn't do anything special other than just keep mowing it. If it's still growing, keep mowing it. But outside of that, I would not get out and do a special fertilizer wrap just because of the temperatures you're going to see next week. The lawn will be absolutely fine. Good stuff, sir. Next up is SA or San Antonio Town holding it. He says, happy Friday, Ron. Looking forward to the live stream. Looking forward to having fun with you guys tonight too, man. Thanks for taking some time out of your Friday to come hang out. I really do appreciate you. Alex, he's like, at Ron Henry. What's going on, Alex? And then Mo D saying hi. I'm trying to see what's in your message there, Mo D, but I couldn't make out the little whatever the thingy is that's after hi. I don't know. Anyway, hi. Thanks for coming to hang out. Hailu Techie is saying hello as well. What's going on, Hailu? Thanks for coming to hang out, sir. Appreciate you. And then Shazia is being the cheerleader for tonight. He says, hit those likes, everyone. 38 in the room. Well, 71 now, but yeah, same thing. Hit those likes. Let's give Ron the support. And I would appreciate that, guys. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button ever so gently, it's a great way to support the channel. It doesn't cost anything. And I would really, really, really appreciate it if you wouldn't mind. Great stuff. All right, so let me take the next question that we had from last week, the one that was residual that a viewer asked that I promised to get to, and it was around cudweed. It says, let me get Shazia off the screen here real quick. He says, Ron, any suggestions to get rid of cudweed? All I can see that control it was dismiss. So when I did research on this, Mauricio, there's a couple different products. Dismiss is obviously one of them, but even Celsius is also labeled to control purple cudweed at the higher rate. You know what I mean? Kind of like with it, when it comes to like Doveweed, a lot of people say, Celsius will not work on Doveweed. If you use it at the higher rate, I am getting good results with it. I'm not saying it's necessarily the best concoction to use. Like, again, like a friend of mine that, again, this is all he does for a living is spray lawns. He's a huge fan of Blindside and what is the other product? Surge. Blindside and Surge, that combination to really knock it out like in one go. But Celsius seems to be doing the business as far as at higher rates. Same thing when it comes to cudweed. Their dismiss is a good option, but Celsius also at higher rates can control Doveweed as well. The thing that about dismiss, it's an excellent product. The only thing I don't care for about it is that it will yellow the lawn. So for most people, like a big part of why I'm such a big fan of Celsius is because as far as a herbicide that's very effective across a fairly broad range of weeds while also being gentle as a herbicide can be on the grass, meaning that if you apply it properly at the proper rates, you don't like do any kind of crazy heavy overlaps, you're unlikely to get any major discoloration with Celsius. Whereas with Dismiss, and especially if you spike Dismiss with anything else, like you take Dismiss and Speed Zone, like you put those two together, you're going to get some discoloration. But even Dismiss by itself is going to cause some temporary yellowing. It's not going to kill your grass, but some people don't even want any kind of major change in color. So Mauricio, if you're watching this, yes, you can use Dismiss, but also Celsius, assuming that the cudweed you have is the purple variant, then at the higher rates on the label, that will also work on cudweed as well. So hope that helps, sir. And hopefully you chime in the live stream here later on so I can let you know, hey, I answered your question. I said I would, and I did. So good stuff. All right, next up is Robert Rainey is in the house. He's here. He says, good evening. What's going on, Robert? Hopefully all is going well. See you there. Get high in your backswing. Hopefully you're still getting to get out and play some golf this time of year. I know it's the temps are starting to cool off a bit, but hopefully you're getting to get out there and do your thing. All right, next up is Dalen Krause. So he has a question about mowing. Guys, other than top dressing, mowing is a topic near and dear to my heart. Fertilizer is a topic near and dear to my heart. There's a few topics that are near and dear to my heart, but mowing is definitely up there. He says, hey, Ron, 2 questions, not 1, but 2. He says, do you double cut every time you mow? If so, why? I guess it's okay. Okay, so first question, do I double cut every time I mow? No, I don't double cut every time I mow. Typically, at least once a week I do it. So normally every third mowing is when I'll do it. If I have time and I really feel like it, I'll do it I'll do it twice in a week, but at least once a week, I'll make a pass lengthwise, and then I finish up with the way that gets the double wide stripes that you guys see. All right, if so, why? Just to produce a better cut, Dale, and see if my lawn were perfectly straight, perfectly flat, right, like a soccer field, there would be less need, I would say, to necessarily do so. But because, you know, I can't even show you here actually I can show you that. Let me see if I can show the back lawn. Let me see if I've got a video here of it. Because my lawn is not flat, and there are areas that the lawn, there's a slope, cutting or mowing that slope lengthwise tends to cause scalping issues. So to improve the quality of the cut, like mowing, in other words, let's say that let's say that my hand is like the contour of some parts of my lawn. So between Alex and I, the swale area, there's a curved area like this, right? If you run a mower like this over that, the area that the top part and the lower part, it's going to scalp, and the cut in the middle is not going to be as good because the mower doesn't follow the contour, right? Because the real bed knife basically aren't curved. You're going to get more pressure on the low part and at the high part, and you're going to get a little bit of scalping, or at a minimum a slightly lower cut at those areas. So by mowing this way, so like into the half pipe, so if this is the half pipe, by mowing this way, which in my lawn represents mowing lengthwise, I'm able to get a better cut that way because the weight is more evenly distributed over the sloped area of the lawn. Does that make sense? So I do it to prevent grain issues and just frankly to improve the quality of cut, because when I mow it going down the sloped areas, like straight down, like the area between Alex and myself, like the mower does a really good job cutting there, which makes the high spot, like when I'm mowing it this way, which is the way that I finish up for the double wide stripes, it doesn't make that unevenness stick out quite so much. Does that make sense? So that's why I do it. I mean, I don't say it's absolutely necessary. It is good to switch up your mowing pattern so you don't create ruts, you don't create wear in certain areas. And I find that mowing it in two directions is the minimum that you need to do that. If there was a time when I would change it up 4 times, like I'd mow this way, diagonal, and then diagonal this way. Now I primarily just mow like a checkerboard pattern is what I primarily do, mainly just for time reasons. So hope that helps, Dalen. If you have any other questions, definitely let me know. Do you have another question? He says, I told you the why. There's a third question. Of course, I'm missing it. He says, third question is, when mowing with the greens master at 3/4 of an inch, I can see my mow lines too well. Lawn is decently level. If I double cut, the mow lines aren't as dominant. Just wondering if you thought something could be wrong with the mower. When I mowed at 1/2 inch earlier this season, it wasn't as bad. Okay, so it's hard to say exactly what's going on, Dalen, but I would say this: the way you want the stripes to present, like the way that visually you want the lawn to look, mow that pattern last. So if you're mowing again like a checkerboard like me, I always finish up mowing the double wide stripes last, because that's what I really want to pop and look its best. Every time you change mowing direction, you're influencing the grain, right? You're laying the grass in different directions. So if you are, I can see how the stripes could possibly be not as dominant if you're varying your mowing pattern. But again, as long as you finish up where the last cut is the pattern that you want, that should be the most prominent. Does that make sense? And as to why it was different, why it's different now versus earlier in the season, I can't, I'm trying to think of why that might be, but nothing really pops to mind. So hope that helps, sir. But yeah, it's a good question. That is why I double cut, and that's the whole reasoning behind it. All right, so we got a super chat, the first one of the evening, one from Greg Lyon.
Super chat received.
Thank you so much, Greg. I really do appreciate it. And it was just out of the kindness of his heart. He just says, thank you for all the advice and help along the way. You're very, very welcome, sir. I mean, I gave some advice, but you did the work, right? So it's one thing to ask for the advice, totally another thing to actually apply it and get the results. So I'm happy that the channel, the content is useful, and that you are getting better results in your lawn. That's what makes my day. So I'm glad to hear that I was going well. Papa Moslow is in the house saying, hey, everyone, what's going on, Papa Moslow? So here's the thing, Papa Moslow. A little birdie told me, aka your Facebook post, said that you should be getting possibly an Allet soon. Is that what I'm hearing? Is any truth to that? Is that a sterling potentially in your future? Is that what I'm hearing? I think you were saying somewhere on the chat that that's supposed to be happening. If so, definitely let us know. Inquiring minds want to know. And when you get it, take a picture. Definitely take a picture and let us know. I thought you already had one, or maybe you had another outlet. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought I saw a post from you saying that you're getting an outlet soon. And if so, congrats, because they're pretty sweet. Next up is simple cash offer. What kind of simple cash offer are we talking about here, man? Because hey, Ron, Craig from Indiana. How often do you sharpen your blades? I sharpen about once a month. It's really difficult to get carbon G. Do you have that in stock? Okay, so the first question is how often do I sharpen? If I can keep the mower out of the sand, which this year I did not do a very good job of, I can typically go an entire season on one sharpen. So the outlet is out being the outlet is out being sharpened now. Plan is to hopefully get it back before the Real Rollers event on October 1st. But yeah, typically once per season but I'm talking about a real mower. For a rotary mower, I haven't mowed the rotary mower in Lord knows how long, but once per month sounds good for a residential lawn. I know that guys that mow lawns for a living do it way more frequently than that, but for you, once a month is good. I put you this way: my Greensmaster, which was sharpened the beginning of this season, and which is what I'm cutting with right now while the outlet is getting sharpened up, is still sharp, still great, still sharp all across the entire reel and bed knife. Still cuts paper, still does a great job. So if you keep the mower out of sand and off of concrete, like don't mow concrete, that's also bad for the sharpness of your mower. And you don't mow twigs or sticks, or just pretty much if the only thing you cut is grass, it tends to maintain the edge a lot longer. And again, with a real mower, you can typically get an entire season out of a sharpen. So good stuff. Now, the question you have about Carbon Pro G, we don't carry Carbon Pro G because that is a Lesco/SiteOne exclusive product. But what we do carry is like Carbon Pro G 2.0, which I can show you. If you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store and then you go to Shop and go to Miramichi Green Biostimulants, in there, you will find Essential G, which is made by Miramichi Green. Carbon Pro G and Essential G are both manufactured by Miramichi Green. Essential G is like, you can think of it as almost like Carbon Pro G 2.0. It has a lot of the same ingredients that are in Carbon Pro G and then some. It's got some humate in it, some silica. It's just a more complete blend. And again, it's just a newer version that Miramichi Green came out with last year. Spring of last year is when they started selling it, and that's what I've been using on my lawn. It's a great product. So if you're looking for an alternative to Carbon Pro G that is going to work just as well, and again, it's like the next variant, look into Essential G. Great product. I put it down on my lawn every single month, so I really do like it. So that's an option for you if you can't find Carbon Pro G. So hope that helps, and we do have that in stock and shipping at the Golf Course Lawn Store. So hope that helps, sir. Next up is Dale, and he's back. He says, I always enjoy watching back the live streams when I can't make it live. Last two streams, the video and audio have been delayed for some reason. Is it delayed now? I'll have to look into that, which is odd. I'm trying to think of what has changed. I'll look into it, Dalen, because when it's live, it seems like it's good, I think, right? If you guys can let me know if the video and audio, if there's any kind of a delay difference. If so, let me know and I can see about fixing it. But I'm trying to think what's changed between the last 2 weeks. What's changed in the last 2 weeks is I did get a different computer. So I did change the computer that I'm using, but it's the same settings and everything. Capture card is the same camera. All that stuff should still be the same. But I guess I'll keep an eye on it. I'll watch it tomorrow. And what I'll do is this. Because I record these as well, if tomorrow when I actually look at the live stream or after I finish doing the edit and cut the intro out, Dalen, if the audio and video are out of sync, what I will do is I'll take the recording that I have now and I will fix it. I'll fix it in post, and then I'll just delete this current live stream and just re-upload it with it fixed. So it's kind of a pain, but I'll do that because I know it's kind of annoying to listen to this where my mouth is doing like the 1970s kung fu fighter movie thing, right? But yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll look into it. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Maybe something whenever I'm editing it and in the YouTube studio is probably causing the problem, but I'll keep an eye on it. Maybe this week what I'll do is not edit it and see if we have the same challenge or same problem. Thanks for letting me know that though. I appreciate it, sir. Next up is Juan Enriquez. He says, I just put down Prodiamine. Could you verify for me that I did the right amount ounces. I have a picture on my scale I can email to you. Sure, Juan. I mean, you can email it to ron@golfcourselawn.com. And of course, I don't have, there it is. I need to move this up so I can actually have it here. Yeah, you can just send me an email right here. And this is, and I'll take a look at it. But just to kind of run through it, if you, assuming you have Bermuda one, anywhere between, if the memory serves me, anywhere between 0.36, or we'll call it like 0.4, just to make the math easy, up to 0.83 dry ounces of the water dispersible granule of Prodiamine is fine for Bermuda. You know what I mean? So if you if you this fall in the video I showed using Prodiamine, Princep, and then Image, I was showing how to mix it at half that rate, half the annual limit. So 0.4 dry ounces mixed with some Princep and also some Image. So yeah, if you are between that range, again, for mixed with a gallon of water and covers 1,000 square feet. Obviously, when I talk about, anytime I mention like rates, by fluid ounces or whatever it is, or dry ounces, I'm assume that I'm talking about that much covers 1,000 square feet. So anywhere between 0.36 up to 0.83 ounces mixed with a gallon of water over 1,000 square feet is your rate for Prodiamine. So if you were there, you're good to go. So let's say you have a 4,000 square foot lawn, because I just like to use that because it makes the math easy, and you went with the 0.4 rate, the 0.40 rate for Prodiamine. What you should have had ended up within your 4-gallon backpack sprayer is 1.6 ounces, 1.6 dry ounces of Prodiamine, and that should have gotten sprayed over 4,000 square feet. So I haven't seen your pictures yet, but if that's what you did, then you're good to go. Now, if you applied it at max rate, because there are people that have done that, I've done that before. If you applied at the full rate, you can say that the up to 3.2 ounces is what the scale will say. That's your annual limit, meaning that in the spring, you're gonna have to switch it up to something else. So you've already used your entire 12-month allocation if you decided to go with the full rate. But I mean, the half rate will produce pretty good results too. So it's really your call. So hope that helps. If the scale says 0.40 and between 0.40 and 0.83, and that's for like a gallon for over 1,000 square feet, you're good to go. Good to go. But I'll look at the picture if you send it to me here, if I can find it, and I'll help you out and make sure to let you know. But that's what I'm going to be. That is what what the rate what it calls for Bermuda. And assuming you have Bermuda, if you have something else, then I'm not going to be able to. If you have a cool season grass, the rate is quite a bit lower, So. Oh, we got some pictures here from Jesus. I went and looked at my email, and my goodness, man, this is clean. We got to show this. I mean, I was going through my email and I saw some pictures. You guys remember he is Arden 15 at 3/4 of an inch. That's what he's cutting his lawn at. I'm just getting these pictures set up here really quick so I can show you guys. And give me one sec. I'm almost there. I promise. And in the meantime, while I get Jesus' pictures up, I'm going to get the super chat that we have here from Archie Amos. Thank you so much, Archie. I really do appreciate that. Thanks for the support.
Super chat received.
And for that, you are the show sponsor. And actually, you know what, Archie and Greg, I'm gonna let you guys share it because I didn't put Greg up here when he first was in. So I'm gonna do Greg and Archie, and it's gonna have to be that way for the first hour, and then I'll switch to just you, Archie, because I got to be fair, because Greg actually was first. But then me, being bad at multitasking, didn't get his show sponsorship up there. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the love and support. It really, really does help. He says, evening, young man. Thanks for the info. You are very, very welcome. Very welcome. Okay, guys. So check out some cool pictures here, man. Take a look at Jesus's lawn. So this is Arden 15 mowed at 3/4 of an inch. Man, now that, I don't care who you are, you've got to, I mean, if you don't like Bermuda grass, now, because I know here's the thing, some of the cool season guys that are in here, they're going to call Bermuda a weed, say nasty things about it, but you guys got to admit, man, I mean, one, that you got to love that. Look at that. Look how clean that is. It's looking solid, man. Really nice. Got the mowers showing them off. I like it. And then a close-up of the kids doing work, and that is mowed at 3/4 of an inch. That shows you guys, you don't have to mow super, super, super low to get an amazing lawn. I mean, 3/4 of an inch, that looks solid. I think most people would take that. I would take that. That's an amazing lawn. Looks awesome. 3/4 of an inch, Arden 15. Very, very nice, Jesus. Keep up the great work, sir. Keep up the great work. Lawn is looking awesome. Keep going. Keep going. All right. And he says, yeah, sent me some pictures of your Arden 15. I got them and I'm showing them off. And again, they looks great, man. Keep doing what you're doing. It's looking really, really good. I tell you guys, 3/4 of an inch, in my opinion, is the Goldilocks zone for real mowing. Like much lower than that, and you're signing up for a whole lot more work without a lot more benefit. In other words, if you just want bragging rights to your other lawn care buddies, be like, hey man, I'm mowing it like 1/2 inch. Yeah, like Wheel Care will be like, you know what? Respect. 1/2 inch. Good stuff, right? But if all you're trying to do is dominate the neighborhood and have like pretty much everybody that drives by look at your lawn and be like, wow, that looks crazy. It looks like it's like AstroTurf. It looks completely fake. Like 3/4 of an inch is going to get that done. And you're not going to be out there mowing so much that real mowing messes up your life. Ask me, I know. Last year, 1/2 inch about killed me. So yeah, 3/4 of an inch it's a good height. It's a good height to stick with. And I like the pictures. Jesus, keep doing what you're doing, sir. Keep doing what you are doing. Next up is Greg. He's here. He's back. He has a question about Celsius uncertainty. He says, should I apply Celsius certainty in the morning before the sun becomes intense or later in the day? It seems like you want to put it down before the sun evaporates it all away. It doesn't, whenever you can apply it, Greg, it is not, it doesn't really matter. If you can apply it in the morning because it's cooler and you're not out there in the middle of the day spraying herbicides, that would be good. I'm trying to think. Whenever I've applied it all different times a day, and it works. It works either way. In the majority of the time when I've applied Celsius uncertainty, it's typically been in the morning or in the afternoon and evening time when I get out when I'm done with work, right? And I have some time to get out there and go spray. So either one will work. The big thing is I'd say is make sure you use a surfactant with it. That is going to help it adhere or stick to the plant, to the weeds you're targeting, and is going to really help you get a the best result. So it doesn't really matter too much. If you can spray it a little bit earlier in the day, by all means go for it. But it's still going to work, assuming you're mixing it at the proper rates and you are using surfactant. Those are the things that are going to matter more than. Those are things that are going to matter more so than the exact time of day when you spray it. Okay, so Juan sent his picture of Prodiamine in. We can get that up here really quick. Juan, and it looks like you did 1.6. It looks like it to me. Or is it point? I can't see what the decimal point is, man. That's the problem. Hang on, let me get Greg off of here. I can't see what the decimal point is, Juan. Is it if the decimal point is between the 1 and the 6, good. If the decimal point is after the 6, which I don't think that doesn't look like a pound of Prodiamine to me. If it's after the 6, then that's way too much. So if it's 1.6, what that scale says, which I'm sure if you guys can read it, but I cannot so much. But if that is what that says, then you're good to go. And assuming that amount is what you're going to be mixing with a gallon of water, and you're going to be applying that over 4,000 square feet, and assumes that you have Bermuda grass. So or you have a warm season grass. So there's a bunch of it's correct if. Is it right? Yeah. If this, if that, if the other, right? So if I see your other email, you said you sprayed it with four gallon sprayer with 4 gallons of water. Yeah. So if the only thing that's left is as long as that went on Bermuda and not like a ryegrass lawn, then looks good to me. Looks good to me, sir. I would roll with it. Looks solid. VMH is in the house. Next, he says, finally purchase a Fiskars Stay Sharp Max manual reel mower. I'm in the process of putting an electric motor in soon. Oh, so you're gonna do what? What's his name, man? The guy that took the Fiskars and turned it. He added like an electric motor to it and made it like the steampunk mower. He turned it into he electrified it. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. So is the Fiskars Stay Sharp Max? Is that a new version of the other one? I know there was the Fiskars before, but I wasn't sure if it was called the Stay Sharp Max. It sounds almost like another iteration or something. VMH. To look it up and see. I'm curious now about that mower. Fiskars Stay Sharp Max Reel Mower. Maybe it's the same thing that I've always looked at. Yeah, I think it is the same one. I don't think they changed it. Yeah, but it's solid. You guys want to see what VMH is gonna be rolling with here soon? His new hardware. Check it out. So he hasn't gotten it yet, but we can still show it off a little bit. Right? We can do that. So that's gonna be his new lawn whip here soon, which is cool. Looks clean, man. Solid. Definitely let me know. And once you finish electrifying it, definitely send us pictures here on the live stream. We want to check it out. Want to see how your project goes. We already know you're pretty handy. You guys remember VMH? He was the one that took, it was an electric, I think it was a an ego mower, and put the front rollers on it, like did it, like he made his own front rollers. So obviously you're pretty handy when it comes to doing some, some garage engineering. So I'm sure whatever you put together is going to come out really solid. All we want is pictures. Got to see pictures of the finished result, sir. Good stuff. Next up is Aaron G. Says, hey, Ron, will pre-emergent work on perennial weeds? I've got Florida bentony problem, and it's starting to peek through where I put my pre-emergent down. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good question. It's a good question, Aaron G. I don't know. I've never heard of Florida bentony until today, so that's a first. So let me look into that, and I will get an answer for you as far as pre-emergent and that. I mean, what you can honestly do is, if you get on, if you just you can do some research and just look up like Florida bentony, I assume that's the actual official name of the weed, and pre-emergent, and then it'll tell you if there's different ones that will work better for that than others. So that would be my suggestion. That's what I'm gonna do. And yeah, so hope that helps, sir. I don't know that one off the top of my head, but learn something new every day, right? I took a screenshot of it, so I will research it for you and then get an answer for you for next week. So assuming you don't figure it out before then, or someone in the live stream isn't chiming before then, you will get your answer next week when I'm able to do some digging. Good stuff. All right, so on the topic of herbicides and Florida, sort of, right? Because I know one of the questions I got from the gentleman, you guys remember last week we had the viewer from Ghana, and he had a question about St. Augustine and 2,4-D, and it turns out that 2,4-D will injure it. Again, it's in Spectricide, in the orange label, and I know that the quinclorac is one reason why you don't spray that on St. Augustine, but I wasn't sure about the 2,4-D, and it turns out that 2,4-D will injure St. Augustine based on what I've been seeing. So actually, let me get you off here so you guys can actually see the comment. This was his question from last week. So the question is, is it selective for St. Augustine? Meaning that if you want to damage St. Augustine, yes, you can spray it with it. But if you don't want to damage St. Augustine, then don't spray it with it. So there's a couple different ways to read that question, but yeah, the long short of it is that it will injure it based on the research that I've come across. So hope that helps, sir. And that was the last question we had from last week. I believe that was in search of an answer. So there you go. All right, Juan is back. He says, I did 1.6 ounces per 4 gallons of water. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Love it. That's good. So now the only thing now is, whenever you use your backpack sprayer, did the 4 gallons of product mixed, did that cover 4,000 square feet? If you did that, then, game, set, match. You got it done. You did it right. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing that's really left. It sounds like you mixed it properly. You used the correct product, correct rate. You did a good job mixing it. The only thing was application. Did we make sure that 4 gallons of water covered 4,000 square feet? And that's, the answer to that. So if you did, good stuff. And it's good, man. It's really good that you took the time to go out there and, double check, really make sure, be precise. Because when it comes to herbicides, it really comes to anything you spray on your lawn, but especially any of the sides, herbicide, fungicides, insecticides, any of those, like, read the label the first time and then read it 2 more times, especially the section where it talks about application rates, because you really don't want to overdo it on a lot of these products. The big thing is to not exceed the annual limit, the annual rate for whatever particular product that you happen to be using on your lawn. There's different types of strategies for doing it. Like, for example, take like Spectacle Flow, right? Like, when I apply it, I typically just do 1 application. But if you're trying to do, if you look at like Bear has some paperwork that shows a couple of ways to do it. You could do like 3 apps at a lower rate if you wanted to. I found that a single app does a great job. I mean, as far as keeping POA out of my lawn, I mean, if I have to pluck out, 5 pieces of POA, like a handful of POA out of my entire back lawn over the course of like fall into the spring, that's a lot. So that's good enough for me. Now, if I did like a bunch of split apps or 2 more apps at lower rates, might I get even better coverage control? Perhaps, but it's not, like, the juice becomes quickly not worth the squeeze to me in that situation. But good job, Juan. You sounds like you measured right, so good stuff. Hopefully you get a really good result this year as far as keeping weeds out of your lawn, because it sounds like you did everything right to me. All right, next up is Retro Marine. He says, good evening, Ron. I always love your show. Thanks, sir. I really appreciate that. He says, can I mix Celsius Certainty for a post-emergent, or should I mix Princep and Image? What would you recommend? Thanks. Okay, so Celsius Certainty and Image are all post-emergents. Princep is actually a pre-emergent. It's another pre-emergent, and I mistakenly referred to Image and Princep as both post-emergents because I added them because I don't ever really use Princep by itself. I only use it whenever I'm using it along with Prodiamine and Image. You can use it by itself, but I just typically don't. But to answer your question, you can mix Celsius and Certainty. You really could mix all of them if you wanted to, but if you're trying to get the absolute best result, here's what I would do. If you had those four to play with, right? Because Image needs to be watered in and Princep also needs to be watered in, mixing those two together makes a lot of sense because you can apply them and water them in, and that will get you your pre-emergent. And then if you're trying to get the absolute best out of Celsius and Certainty, you'd apply those separately with a surfactant. Now, if you don't want to do all that, you say, hey, you know what? Too much work. I don't want to do all that. Can you mix Celsius, Certainty, and Image and Princep all together? In theory, yes. I've never actually tested that mixture. I've done Celsius Certainty and Prodiamine, like that plays nicely together. So what I would say is mix a small amount of it in a jar, do a jar test to make sure there's nothing in no weird interactions. I can't imagine there really will be. And if you decide to go that way, Metro Marine, because Certainty and Celsius are foliar post-emergence, meaning you don't need to water them in for them to work, what I would do is if you test that concoction, you test mixing it, you make sure that there's not any kind of weird interactions, and you've checked all your rates, you're making sure that you're applying it at a safe rate. If you decide to spray that, I would not water it in immediately after application. I would give it at least a day before running your irrigation, or make sure there's at least a day between rainfall, because that's going to allow the foliar aspect of that blend, the Celsius and Certainty, to dry on the weeds on the plants we're trying to target. And then a day or two later, if you run irrigation and water in the Princep and Image, then you're going to get your pre-emergent benefits rather. Sorry. So yeah, so it's your call. Absolute best would be to do them separately. One tank of Princep and Image, and then another of Celsius Certainty, because then you get some surfactant in there. But if you just want to save time and you want to throw them all together, you could, again, after testing it to make sure there's no weird interactions, it should work just fine. I know Celsius Certainty and Prodiamine play nicely together. I imagine Image, I imagine Princep will too, because Princep is really the only oddball in that blend that I have never tested Celsius and Certainty along with it to be able to say that, yeah, you're not going to have some kind of weird interaction. So try it and let me know. Again, mix up a small amount first. You don't want to end up with a backpack sprayer full of, product that you can't use. And again, as far as application, the only thing I would say is after applying it, don't run irrigation right away, or don't apply it right before rainfall. Apply it as if you are applying a post-emergent herbicide, sans surfactant, and then just give it a couple of days, a day or so before running irrigation to water the pre-emergent down into the soil and the Image down into the soil. So good stuff, man. I appreciate you watching. Great question. That's a good one. Next up is Grass Thief. He says, Ron, as far as Tahoma 31 Bermuda, turf one and only one in touch, it's only in touch with the developers of the turf, Dr. Dennis Marlin from Oklahoma. He's at Oklahoma. I think it's Oklahoma, maybe. I don't get people throwing toys at me. From Oklahoma State University. So you said the three, so the Bermuda turf is one, and only one in, yes, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understand exactly what you're saying, Grass Thief, but I think you're telling me that the number has something to do with, well, I guess the designation that the inventor or the person that helped research it came up with. So I'm not fully understanding. If you don't mind, listen, English is hard for me. English is like a second and third language. So I'm the one that's not reading your comment, not understanding it properly. So if you wouldn't mind putting some clarification around it, I would appreciate it, because it sounds like you have some some knowledge around Tahoma, and it'd be nice to know if you know what the 3 and 1 signify. That'd be kind of cool. Next is Greg Lyon. He says, after leveling, my shady areas are still bare after 4 to 5 weeks. I'm cutting my tree back, but I'm not sure if the Bermuda will spread over these large areas. Should I transplant or something else? Okay, so the rule, Greg, is if Bermuda was not growing in that area before you leveled due to shade, like leveling your lawn or top dressing your lawn is not a magic bullet that is going to automatically make grass grow in places where it otherwise wouldn't. If you didn't eliminate the shade, then I'm not surprised that the Bermuda isn't growing in there. Now, you said that you cut the tree back, which is good, and that will help some. So what I would say is at this point is if you cut the tree back, meaning you raise the canopy so more sunlight is getting into that area, it's just going to be a waiting game to see how the grass responds to it. Yes, you can take some plugs from areas of the lawn that are stronger and transplant them in there to that area that's bare. And that's going to be a good test, because if the plugs root in and take and they begin, like spreading around, then hey, you did enough as far as getting more light into that area by the trimming work that you did. But if they don't take and they don't grow in, then in that case, then you haven't done enough. You may have to cut the tree back even more, or just be resigned that area that the grass is not grow there. Because again, Bermuda, the only kryptonite Bermuda has outside of it's probably the only natural kryptonite Bermuda has is shade. I mean, if you smack it with glyphosate alone, even that is not really enough to typically kill it altogether. Now you mix some fusilade in there, that'll do it. But as far as as far as conditions, there's not a whole lot you can do to get the grass to respond. Shade is it for Bermuda. So if it's a huge area and you can't get the tree back anymore, then your choice is a different type of grass. Zoysia can do a little bit better in shade than Bermuda. It's not like it's like a magic grass. It's not like how fescue is, but it can do a bit better in shade than Bermuda can. So that could be an option. But I think in your case, it's just going to be patience. Transplant the plugs. What I would do is transplant the plugs in there, and just see how they do. Give them plenty of water. Give them, if you're not having fertilizer, give them a little bit of nutrient, and just a waiting game to see how the grass you're gonna put in that area does. So sounds like a plan, man. Great job on the leveling, and again, you'll get your answer here soon enough. The one thing I would say this too, Greg, is that we are getting to the time of year where the grass is going to slow down. So I wouldn't be so quick to make a snap judgment if it doesn't fill in the end of this season, because we're on the downslope for Bermuda really growing aggressively. You know what I mean? So if by next year, when May, June, like say May, by the end of May, if it's not doing better, then what you see at the end of May is likely what you're going to get. You know what I mean? But this time of year is a bad time to judge how Bermuda is responding to raising a canopy or introducing a little bit more sunlight, because it's just not hot enough and there's not enough light that's really going to be to see how well it's going to do, right? So just patience is what I would say. That's the order. That's the word of the day. And by end of May next year, that is when you're going to have your real answer as far as if you did enough. Hope that helps, sir. Next up is Retro Marine. He says, sorry, I forgot to mention I have hybrid Bermuda grass. Yeah, that's always useful. And yes, if you have hybrid Bermuda, then yes. Again, the only thing, Metro Marine, I would say is make sure that you do a test. Do a jar test. Make sure that Celsius Certainty, Image, and Princep really being the only oddball that I've never tested mixed together, that they all play nicely together. And then, obviously read the label, get your app down, make sure you use a good, just get your app down and see what happens. I think you're going to get a really good result, assuming that blend works nicely together. Next is Half. Half is like, it's Friday, boys. You know what that means? Q&A with the grass god, Ronald Henry. It's just Ron, but I'll take Ronald. I get that a lot. People are saying, is it Ronald? Nope. It's just Ron. My parents were lazy. They didn't want to spend too much time. They want to save ink. Just Ron, not Ronald. But yeah, man, thanks for that, Half. I appreciate you coming to hang out, sir. Should be a fun time. Always a fun time on a Friday night. Next up is Todd Hickey. He says, I just received my first Real Rollers purchase. Got the grooved roller for my California trimmer, 25-inch. Hang on, before we continue, we got to cop it up for that. It's more hardware, so got to give that some love. It says, haven't gotten good stripes this year with a smooth roller and hoping it will help with the gliding issue. It will, Todd. That grooved roller, it's almost like mowing with a combed roller. It's going to allow the grass to stand up a bit more versus getting it mashed down with a smooth roller. You should get good stripes. You should definitely get a better cut, definitely a better quality of cut. And then the only thing I would say is, this late in the season, obviously, because I think you have Bermuda grass. It's too late to be doing, like verticutting and any kind of like major destructive work. But if you can thin out the lawn next season, with a nice scalp at the beginning of the season, and then throughout the season at least once, if you can figure out a way to verticut it or turf rake it to thin it out, that is going to help you get a better cut consistently throughout the season as it progresses. That's the only thing I would tell you. But a groove roller is awesome. I mean, here's the thing. I had my smooth roller on my True Cut for a number of years. Last year is when I switched to the groove roller, and it makes a visual difference in the quality of cut. You're gonna notice a difference. You're gonna like it. It definitely makes a noticeable difference. It's not just like a placebo. Like if you look at how the lawn looked before with a smooth roller and then go to a groove, it definitely looks better. So definitely, man. As far as the gliding issue, a lot of that, like I said, is going to depend on how thick your lawn is. It should do better. A grooved roller should do better than a smooth roller on that. But even then, it will benefit from getting the lawn thinned out at least once during the growing season. Not now, like next year, June-ish time frame. Good time to do it. Let me know how you get on, man. Once you finish getting your first cut and your first mow with it, you definitely let us know how it does. G Free's in the house. He says, "Hey Ron, hashtag Stripe Action Gang. Good Friday, y'all. What's going on, G Free? Thanks for coming to hang out, sir." And then Greg Lyon says, "Are there any good pH/moisture meters you have used? Are they reliable?" As far as like an actual like a meter that you can just like almost like how a soil temperature probe works, where you can stick it in and get like a measure of pH. I've never used anything like that, so I can't really comment to how well they would work. I imagine like anything else, like if you buy a better one, like a more expensive unit, like if you do some research and find a unit that is, that's used professionally, those probably work okay, but I imagine they're going to be a bit more expensive. To figure out what my pH is, I just use this good old My Soil test kit. Like one of the things you get in your soil test results is soil pH. So yeah, and as far as moisture meters, I have not used any of those. So there is a viewer. I don't think he's in here in the live stream tonight, but he's out of Arizona and he has a moisture meter that he liked. He had one of those, but it was pretty pricey from what I understand. It was north of $600, I think. They're not inexpensive to get a good one, right? To get one that actually is going to give you accurate results, not cheap, because it's kind of a niche thing. Like if you go and ask anybody in your neighborhood who has a moisture meter for their, in their garage, the answer is probably going to be less than 5. I mean, probably going to be 0 other than you, but I'm just being generous, probably less than 5. So you got to figure, because they don't sell that many of them, that type of equipment, because of how specialized it is, tends to be a bit more pricey. If you want one that's going to be more accurate. I don't have either one of them. For soil pH, I just use the test kit, and whatever it says the pH is, I treat it accordingly. So hope that helps, sir. If you get one though, let me know. Let us know. Send us a picture. Let us know about the awesomeness that you get your hands on. All right, Half is up next. He says, "What is relationship with PGR and nitrogen? If PGR slows growth and nitrogen boosts growth, what happens if you use both?" Great. Yeah, it's a good question. So as far as there being like an interaction between them, when you apply nitrogen to your lawn, you're not necessarily really working against yourself with PGR, because I mean, yes, nitrogen is, to quote Alan Hain, to quote Lawn Care Nut, it is it's the macro that drives the bus, right? It's the one that powers everything, helps push growth. It help with color. It's the macro that your lawn needs, to grass needs to do well. PGR works not by necessarily reversing what nitrogen is doing, but by suppressing an enzyme called, well, if you're talking about Primo anyway, it's called gibberellic acid synthesis. So it's an enzyme that the grass uses to grow tall. It causes a division that causes the stalk of the grass to grow, to again make it get taller, and it suppresses that. Now, if you get out there and you're throwing lots and lots and lots of nitrogen at your lawn, are you working against yourself? Yeah, to an extent, but it's not like if you throw a ton of nitrogen, it's going to reverse the effects of PGR. The lawn is still going to grow slower, even if you're doing a heavier nitrogen application, if it's under regulation than if there were no growth regulator. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the two of them, they serve different purposes, different roles, and by applying nitrogen to a lawn that's under regulation with PGR, you're not working against yourself. Like I apply nitrogen along with my growth regulator app, and my lawn still gets 0.8 of a pound of nitrogen every single month when it's actively growing, and the growth regulator works absolutely fine. And if you were not to use, say I went a month, and I've never actually done this to actually test it, but I don't imagine you would actually notice a huge difference. But if I went an entire month and not apply any nitrogen, it's not like the PGR would work would work longer. It's like you're going to get more regulation out of it. What you might find is that the growth will likely be less, because I'm not feeding the lawn as much. But as far as like nitrogen shortening how long the growth regulator works, not really. As long as as long as it's applied at the proper rate, and if you're doing it the way that I've been doing it starting the season, which is every couple of weeks at half rate, like you're not going to have an issue with the lawn coming out of regulation throughout the entire time whenever you're using the product. So the big thing I'd say half is just to apply them both at the correct rate. So don't go crazy overboard on the amount of growth regulator you're applying, and don't go crazy overboard with the amount of nitrogen you're applying. If you use a reasonable rate for both of them, again, for warm season grass, I like 0.8 pounds. That works well for me. And as far as growth reg, if you use whatever the label says, as far as whatever's on the label for Primo, you're going to get a good result. The two of them play nicely together. So hope that helps, sir. It's a good question. Not one I've ever gotten before, but yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to apply nitrogen if your lawn has growth regulator. So good stuff. Next up is Chase Thompson. He says, is there a max limit on how much? I'm not sure you're saying. Oh yeah, is there a question of how much prodiamine you can put down per year? And if so, is there a good alternative to mix it up? Great question, Chase. Excellent question. Yes, there is. Kind of like most products we apply to our lawn. If you take like any of the fungicides, herbicides, insecticides on the label, they will have a max rate per year. A lot of times they'll say, don't exceed this amount per acre, but you can do some quick math and figure out per 1,000 square feet what that comes out to. But yes, like everything else you apply to your lawn, there is an annual limit. For prodiamine for warm season grass, it is 0.83 dry ounces. So if you're using like the water dispersal granule, it is 0.83 ounces per 1,000 square feet per year, right? So if you're going to go out and apply it at a heavier rate, like you're going to apply it at max rate, or you're going to apply it at a rate such that you didn't have enough in your allocation left for, say, a spring app, then yeah, you can absolutely mix it up. It's a good strategy to mix it up, as a matter of fact. So what you might do is you might do prodiamine in the fall, and then in the spring you could do dithiopyr, which I'm a fan of doing because dithiopyr has the ability to kill young crabgrass. So as far as choosing when to use each one, again, either one can work whenever you decide to use them. It's not like if you use dithiopyr in the fall, you're creating some cardinal sin by doing that, right? But if you think about it, crabgrass for the most part germinates in the springtime and begins to become a real problem in the spring and summer months, right? So if we can suppress and or kill young crabgrass by using a dithiopyr application in the spring, makes sense to me, right? So you could use prodiamine this fall, and then you could use dithiopyr in the spring, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter either way. The big thing is get your pre-emergent down. Like apply it in the spring, apply it in the fall. And as long as you don't exceed the maximum rate, you can use prodiamine again in the next your next application if you want. So on the Golf Course Lawn Store, we carry both of those, Chase. So if you go to golfcourselawn.store and then go to shop and then weed killer, as far as granulars go, we've got prodiamine we've got pre-emergent rather, both in granular form and liquid form. For dithiopyr, we only carry that in granular. So you've got granular dithiopyr, granular prodiamine, and you've got also prodiamine 65 in a water dispersible granule, which is it's like what it sounds like, little granules that you weigh out and then mix with water, and then you spray it on your lawn. So there's a couple different ways of doing it. You can get a great result whether you go liquid or granular. Either one can work, and it's your call whether or not you want to alternate them between spring and fall. What you notice is the price difference between them is so small that there's no reason really not to. So if you want to get a bag of prodiamine, throw that down now, and then in the spring get a bag of dithiopyr and use that in the spring. Sounds good to me. Sounds like a plan. That would work. That would work quite well. So hope that helps, sir. The big thing is just check the label. Check the label for rates. And again, it's not just herbicides. We think about like max rates when it comes to herbicides, but if you read the labels for Acelepryn, Primo, even fertilizer, you think about it, like as far as how much fertilizer or nitrogen rather Bermuda needs in a year, it's somewhere in the area of 4 to 5 pounds throughout the growing season or whenever it's actively growing, right? So you wouldn't want to go put like 10 or 15 pounds of nitrogen down on Bermuda. It starts to create problems, right? Just like too much insecticide, too much fungicide, too much herbicide, like anything else, too much becomes a problem if you exceed it. So hope that helps, sir. There is a max rate, and in what you'll find is in the product descriptions on the store. If you on the store there, you will all that is listed there as well. What your annual limits are for the various products. So hope that helps. Great question. I like that. That's a good question because that tells me you're thinking about it and you're trying to be careful not to go too heavy on your applications, which is good. Excellent. All right, next up is Troy Ridley for Photography. He says, "Hey Ron, thank God it's Friday." Yeah, man, it's a good Friday. Let me think. There's no Formula One this weekekend, I don't believe, because the Russian Grand Prix got canceled. There's football. So yeah, outside of that, there's that, and then might try and do some filming. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun weekend. Quiet, nice, early fall weekend is what we got coming up. Mark F is in the house. He says, "Hello, my friends. What's going on, Mark? Hope you're doing well, sir." And then Lois H is in the house saying, "Greetings and happy Friday." Greetings, Lois. It's glad to see you back. I know you were around a lot in the spring, and you're probably here. You probably just don't like chime in very much. Just kind of just lurk and just hang out there in the shadows, just watching what's going on. But glad to see you're still around and you're doing well. Next up is Mike CS. He says, "Hydrochain is supposed to help with germination, but could it be detrimental in conjunction with coated seed?" Excellent question, Mike. I don't know the answer to that. I don't believe so. If you're asking me, I don't really think so. That I can't see really presenting a problem with coated seed. Yeah, if you apply Hydrochain and then you were to go and pull it down a coated seed, I think you're going to be just fine. It's not like you're going to have like root rotting issues because it's going to attract that much moisture or cause if I've never tested it, and I could definitely ask the folks at Ecologel if it would be a problem with it. I think the answer is going to be no, though. I think you're going to be just fine as far as applying Hydrochain and then still using a coated seed. You're going to be just fine. I wouldn't sweat it. Wouldn't sweat it. So is that what you're going to be? Is that your plan, Mike? You're going to do Hydrochain or Foreplay, like one of the new moisture managers, and along with your seeding project. I guess you have cool season grass, I imagine, since you're asking this question. So what you could use are any of these guys. So you can get Foreplay, which is the moisture manager, which has got Hydrochain in it, or just straight Hydrochain. And the granular is sold out, as it tends to be. So cool, man. Yeah, let me know what kind of grass you have, what you're working with, and what your plan is for this fall. Because it sounds, based on the question, that's what you're planning to do. Greg Lyons says, "Thank you for all the advice and help along the way. You're very welcome." And the next up is Dwayne's World. Dwayne's World is party time. Excellent. Says, "Hey Ron, happy Friday, sir. Loved your gangsta Celsius YouTube short. Definitely was a good laugh." I try to have fun with it, man, because here's the thing. You guys may not realize it, but to most people, the topic, while we find it fascinating, to most people, the topic of herbicides is absolutely boring. Most people just don't want weeds in their lawn, right? So I could just say, yeah, hey, here's the results of I sprayed Doveweed with Celsius. It seems to be having a pretty good result. Seems to be knocking it out. But why not just have some fun with it, right? Because Celsius, you got to think about it, man. Celsius has been having a rough go of it here lately. The old vet Celsius got the new Celsius Extra, so it's probably already feeling a little bit, less than, because they went out and they created a new version of it. They added some sedgehammer to it, and maybe it's making it feel like it's not as good as it used to be. So I could see how it could be sensitive, which is why I try to convey in that little short video, saying that Celsius still needs the respect, and that it can get it done when applied properly. It can absolutely do it. You may have to do more than once. You may have to give it, may have to apply more than one time to get the result, but don't discount Celsius. It's a great herbicide. And I'm glad you enjoyed it, sir. I had fun making it, and the fact that you enjoyed it was a win-win. I had fun making it, and you had fun watching it, which is always good, right? All right, Wick 215 is up next. He says, "Overseeding 2 weeks ago, but the weeds are coming in strong. What should I do?" Well, it depends what kind of weeds you are dealing with, Wick. You can use selective herbicide. I mean, the answer is a selective herbicide to kill the weeds. So like a basic three-way, I don't know what kind of grass you have, but like a good option is something like Triad Select. So something like this, I can show you. And again, the answer to this question is always, it depends. It depends on what kind of grass you have, and depends on what weeds you're dealing with, right? But assuming that you said you overseeded 2 weeks ago, I'm assuming you have cool season grass. So there's a couple of options. If it's a few weeds here and there, and you don't mind some mild discoloration in the areas that you spray, then something like tenacity can work well. But another good option is this three-way. You know, the Triad Select is a good option as well too. Read the label for both of them and make sure that for your particular grass type that it's safe for it. Like for tenacity, if you have cool season grass, you're gonna be good to go. But also for the Triad, read the label and make sure that that you're fine for your particular grass type that you have. I'm pretty sure it's safe for KBG and ryegrass, but just check it. I'm not sure what you're working with, and either one of these will produce will do a pretty good job as far as broad coverage. Again, depending on the weed you have, you know, it always depends. The answer is it always depends when it comes to what herbicide to use. If you really want to get the best results out of these, get a bottle of the spreader sticker, some surfactant along with it. That's going to help the product adhere to the leaf of the weed. You're going to get a better result as far as killing the weeds in your lawn. Look at the Triad first, because again, it's a post-emergent, and you know, I'd want you to stay away, given that you just seeded a couple of weeks ago, any kind of pre-emergent, because we don't want to do anything that could potentially damage that new grass that you're trying to grow in. You know what I mean? So you're going to be in that post-emergent life to keep weeds away, and just you know, depending on the weeds you're dealing with, choose a product that will target those weeds. So look, I gave you two options. You got tenacity, and you also got a broadleaf like the Triad Select. So read the labels for both of those, and then pick one of the two, and should be good to go. Next up is Luis Cardona. He says, Ron, God bless. Thank you for that, Luis. I appreciate you. And then next up is Gary Ingersoll. He says, when trying to get stripes, it is important to keep the angle of the sun in mind to get the greatest pop. This is true. This is true, Gary. So when it comes to the stripe action, not that I'm an expert on stripe action or anything like that, but I mean, I know a thing or two about it, is the time, ideally, if you can mow your stripes in the direction that the sun passes over your house, that's going to give you the best results. So remember, the stripes, the dark stripes are the grass laying towards you, and the light stripes is grass that's laying away from you. And based on the time of day, they show up better. For example, if I go and take a picture of my back lawn, like right before the live stream, and I do it from the patio, it doesn't look that great. If I walk to the end of to the other side, like towards where the fence is, and take a picture from that direction, it shows up better. So it, like the direction you mow the stripes, like Gary is saying, is absolutely correct. And also the time of day you decide to use to take the pictures will make them show up better, make them pop better. You know what I mean? So there's two things to keep in mind when it comes to, you know, one, choosing your directions for striping the lawn, but then also two, the best time of day to take a picture of it if you really want them to pop and look awesome. Papa Mo's Low is here. He says, yes, the Sterling will be here Monday afternoon. Nice. Nice. It's not here yet, but we're still going to clap it up anyway, because it's a sweet bit of kit. So guys, the Sterling that he's talking about is this mower is this mower that I have back here. I don't have any pictures of the Sterling. I think I've got some. Yeah, so this is a short video showing my mower. This is like one of one. This is one that a special edition that Owlet did to celebrate the Platinum Jubilee for Queen Elizabeth. So this is a really cool mower that you know, I was fortunate enough to win the auction, and that's what Papa Mo's Low is going to be getting. I mean, it's going to be a different livery, different paint job, but essentially this is what he's going to be rolling with on Monday, which is pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. It's a nice mower, and that's it on the lawn. That's about as much grass as my mower is ever going to see, but yeah. There you go. That's what Papa Mo's Low is going to be rolling with here soon. Nice mower. You're really going to like it. You're really going to like that mower. You have to let me know which cartridges you got with it. Hopefully you got the Verticutter and the turf rake, or you know, one of the two. If you only have one, oh, man, this is a tough one. Maybe the Verticutter. If you can only have one of those two, maybe the Verticutter. But the turf rake is also nice as well. So hopefully you got some other cartridges other than just the cutting cartridge that it comes with. Next up is Dwayne's World. He says, hey, Ron, when is the appropriate time to put down some preventative fungicide for the fall? I had a couple of spring dead spots last year and want to not have the same issue this next spring. It's a great question, Dwayne. When I do it is the end of this month, so end of September, early October, and I do a second application end of October, early November. So I do 2 fungicide applications. What I use for that is Headway G. So if you go to shop and then to fungicide and insecticide, what I use for my fall apps, and you can see this, I did a video on it last year, is this product, is Headway G. This is what I use. I do an app again the end of this month, and then an app the end of October. And it did definitely help me as far as reducing the amount of spring dead spot that I had on my lawn. I had like one area, so I had 3 areas that I typically get spring dead spot. This year I only had 1, and it was noticeably smaller than it normally was in years past. So good stuff. So, and in addition to fungicide, Dwayne, also being careful not to limit how much nitrogen you're putting into the lawn as we get closer to the lawn going dormant. That's also going to help as well with preventing spring dead spot. And unfortunately, you do all this stuff. You apply the fungicide, you maybe reduce the amount of nitrogen you're feeding the lawn, starting next month. And the only way you never really know if it works and how effective it was is next spring. You don't get the answers to the test until next year, unfortunately. So. But that's what I do. All right, Noakes, Oliarch Gaming says, not delayed here. Okay, cool, man. Good to know. I think it's something in YouTube Studio, guys, because they did make an update to YouTube Studio here. It probably was about 2 or 3 weeks ago to the editor. And maybe that's what's causing the sync problem whenever I remove the intro. Because I figure a lot of you guys don't want to watch the intro after the fact, but I might just leave it in. And that way it might not have the problem. So we'll see. All right. Let's see here. Dwayne says, yep, when live, the audio was good, which is great. Love to hear that. And then video and audio are playing good here live. Nice. Thanks for that, guys. I really do appreciate it. Mike Harvey is back, and he says, I'm in upstate South Carolina. The yard looks terrible right now, which is why I was thinking of doing the triple 12 and Humic Max. Trying to get 1 more month out of it. All the green is gone. So here's the thing, Mike. We are the time of year where the aggressiveness that Bermuda is going to be growing is going to start slowing down. If you want to do one last feeding for this year, I'm not opposed to that. I just wouldn't go, excessive on the amount of nitrogen that you're throwing into the lawn. Again, if you can keep the combination of both of those products to around 1/8 of a pound, definitely don't exceed a pound, but if you can keep it to around 0.8, 0.8 of a pound, I like that personally. As long as you're not exceeding 1 pound, you should be all right. But yeah, man, it's just, at this time of year, the lawn is going to start growing more slowly. It is a good idea to feed it, but I would not do anything way outside of the ordinary. To be completely honest, if it were me, I would hold off on the Humic Max and I would apply the triple 12 at like 5 pounds per thousand. Like that is what I would actually do. Because if your soil test results are saying that you need phosphorus, then the triple 12 has that and Humic Max doesn't. So it's really, the triple 12 is really a better fit for your soil conditions versus the Humic Max. But I get it that you like, everyone likes Humic Max. It's an awesome product. But if you are trying to do what's actually the best thing for your soil, the triple 12 by itself at a higher rate, 5 pounds, sans the Humic Max, without the Humic Max, is what I would do. That is if you ask me if I were you, what I would do, that's what I would do. I would not use the Humic Max right now because you're based on your soil test results, it doesn't have everything your soil needs. It needs phosphorus, right? And it doesn't have that. So next up is Dwayne's Whirl. He says, I noticed during the replay, it was like an older Kung Fu movie. LOL. Okay. Well, I'll see if we can make that not happen this next time around. Apologies for that, but thanks for letting me know because unless you guys tell me, I don't know these things. So thanks for letting me know about that, and I'll see if I can fix it, for the next time around. And progress, Mike says, at least the grass isn't purple anymore, LOL. Yeah, so there's progress, right? And here's the thing you got to realize, Mike, is I don't know where you started with your lawn this season or how, what kind of condition it was in, but it is a process, and it does, depending on where you are, that's going to really dictate, how long it takes for you to make a really big improvement. Most people are able to see a very nice difference in their lawn in about 3 months. 3 months of concerted effort, and by that I mean getting a soil test done, like fertilizing the lawn based on those soil test results, getting your keeping up with your mowing program, like just doing those types of things. Most people see a really big difference, a big change in their lawn in just a few months. In one growing season, you can see a really big change. If your lawn is taking longer, so be it. But it sounds like you're still getting benefits because I remember like it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, you were in the live stream and you were saying that your lawn was like dark or purple colored. It's not that way anymore. So it's progress. You know what I mean? So just I would stick to the soil test results. Another benefit too to that triple 12, assuming that the triple 12 that you have is the Yard Mastery, the green bag that's on the store, is that also has some micronutrient in it. So it's got, the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, but it's also got a little bit of iron in there. It's got, some zinc. It's got a full suite of micronutrient, which is, if anything is going to help you also produce a nice green pop, that will help as well. So for those reasons, in addition to mainly it being that's what your soil test said to do, that's why I would really, for me, apply this to the triple 12 more so than to trying to do a blend between Humic Max and the triple 12. That is my thought. All right. Alexander Lee says that's clean. It is clean, man. Isn't it clean? So guys, for those of you guys that were not here earlier, Jesus dropped the mic on like some Arden 15. He's a soccer field. Everyone says, oh, I got a soccer field for a lawn, or I got my lawn's like a baseball field or whatever. But this man really has one. Like look at that. I mean, he's got his goal in the background, and that is Arden 15 Bermuda grass mowed at 3/4 of an inch. That is clean. That looks good, man. I don't care who you are. That looks really good. Color's nice. Stripe action looks good. Overall, just looks really, really, really nice. Love it, man. Looking really solid. Keep doing what you're doing, sir. Next up is Janelle White. He says, cool season guy here, but can always appreciate a good looking lawn. Yeah, that's it, right? I mean, that's one thing. We are all united in our love for grass. I used to say in our love for stripe action, but believe it or not, sometimes I get messages or emails from people saying, why do you cut your grass? Literally, it never fails. Maybe at least twice a month. Once every couple of weeks, I get an email from someone or a message in the comments or someone saying, why do you guys cut your grass so short down there? Why don't you let it get tall? I'm like, well, because we can, and because it looks awesome, because it looks like this, because this is pretty sweet. That's why we do it. But I get it. Not, shortcut grass isn't something that everybody likes. So, all right. Next up is Grass Thief. He is back and he says, hey, Ron, putting on my pre-emergent, was wondering if I should put a broadleaf herbicide with the mix. I've been picking weeds, very few here and there. Never used a herbicide yet because so young, planted 6'3", but it rooted well. It's your call, Grass Thief. Here's the thing. If you have a brand new lawn, let's say, I don't know what kind of grass you're dealing with. You may have told me earlier about it, I forget, but let's say you have a Bermuda lawn. So let's say you install Bermuda in June. So let's see, you're beginning of June. So June, July, August, September. So it's 4 months old, thereabouts, right? If you decided you wanted to apply pre-emergent on it, which for Bermuda, I see no issue with doing that. I've done it on my lawn. Other people have that I know personally have applied pre-emergent a few months after Bermuda was installed and had no issues whatsoever. Cool season grass, you don't want to do that, but Bermuda tolerates it just fine. But given that your lawn was only installed 4 months ago, what you might do is just back the rate down some. So whereas you can apply Prodiamine up to 0.83 ounces over 1,000 square feet for a year, in your case, just go at that half rate. Go like 0.4 ounces, and then when it comes to your broadleaf herbicide, if you decide you want to throw some of that in the tank, just back the rate down a little bit. You know what I mean? There's no reason to go full tilt, because to your point, you only have a few weeds here and there. You probably don't even really need the broadleaf post-emergent, but if you want to put some in there anyway, just to help knock back or injure the little bit of weeds you have, you can do that if you want. But I would say in your case, given that it's a brand new lawn, you just want to just be conservative. Moderation is key. Just, don't get out there at full rate, go at half rate. You're still going to get a good result. Even if the prevention you get is not as good as it would have been if you went with a heavier rate, it's still going to be way better than if you didn't put any pre-emergent down. So that I would, keep that in mind. You can always kill the POA after the fact with like certainty. Certainty works really well against it. So if you start looking around at, July, like December, December, January timeframe, and you got POA starting to rear its head in the lawn, just get out with some certainty and smack it, because it works really, really well against that. And yeah, so there's multiple ways to go about it. And if it were me, I would get your pre-emergent down, and I would just back the rate down a little bit. Just go to a lighter rate, and I think that's a good blend. You're getting the best of both worlds by doing that. You're getting some protection while not going so heavy that you're introducing some stress to a relatively new lawn. But it's Bermuda, it's gonna be fine. Mauricio Salinas is up next. He says, Jesus Prado, what's your setup on your soccer goal and net? See what you open now, Jesus? You're getting all kinds of questions now about your setup now, man. He says, it looks clean. I would like to consider something similar for my backyard for my little one. Also, Arden 15 in Sarasota, Florida. Very, very cool. So there you go, Jesus. If you're still here, Drop it in the chat. People want to know what your setup, what kind of nets you're using, all this kind of stuff. So let them know. Help Mauricio out. Next up is Sam Blue. He says, when is the latest time of year to apply Essential G? That's a very good question. So if you're in my area, there's really not any latest time of year, because the only limitation on applying Essential G is you don't want to apply it if the ground is frozen. So if you're in, Chicago in December and it's been, it gets really, really cold and the ground freezes and we really shouldn't be applying anything, not just Essential G, to your lawn, in that case, you wouldn't apply it. But if you're in the Southeast United States, in Georgia, like if you're my neighbor, you could apply Essential G every single month. As a matter of fact, since July of 2020, that's what I've done. I've applied either for July from 2020 through 2021, it was Carbon Pro G for much of that year, and then last year all through now it's been Essential G. So every month that's what my lawn has gotten without fail, because we get winters here in Georgia, but they're relatively mild, so you can get away with doing that. So how often and how much you apply it is really limited by your budget. As far as being able to over apply it, most people aren't going to be able to buy enough of it to be able to do that, Sam. So get some on your hand, on order, or if you got a local place where you can get some if you don't want to pay for shipping. That's an option too, but you can apply it literally throughout the entire year as long as the ground is not frozen. That's the only thing that I would say don't apply granulars to your lawn, but that's not just Essential G. That is everything. That is everything. So hope that helps, sir. Hope that helps. If you have any other questions, let me know. Definitely let me know. All right, next up is Andrew Phillips. He says, hey, Ron, this is the first year I've had a fire ant issue. Should I proceed with Caravan G and also get the benefit of a fungicide? You're at 3/4 of an inch, 0.75 inch height of cut now. I hear talk in my neighborhood that my grass looks fake. Well, first of all, I'm going to answer the last part first. Your grass them calling your grass fake, that's a compliment. That's a compliment. I mean, you gotta love that. And then as far as fire ants, Caravan G, I don't believe Caravan G is labeled for fire ants, Andrew. What you're going to want to use for fire ants is a product called Advion fire ant bait. That is my go-to when it comes to an insecticide for fire ants. You can get it like in you can get a 2-pound jug. If you have a really large property, you can get it like in a bag, but that's like super, super expensive. And for most people, you don't really need that much of it. You really don't. So yeah, right here. So this product is what you're going to want to use for the fire ants. Let's see, at Andrew Phillips. There you are. And this is it. Advion fire ant bait. Yep. Ant bait. So there you go. Use this. This is what I would use for fire ants. And then as far as getting your benefits of a fungicide, yeah, so I would use Advion for your fire ants, and then for fungicide, I would just use Headway. That's what I would do. The only way I would apply Caravan is if for some reason you've got not armyworms, so it isn't target armyworms. If you had like grubs or something like that you're trying to take care of, that is where Caravan comes in as a combination type product. But if you're looking for a fire ant product, Advion is really the one I would go with. And if you're looking for a fungicide, I am a fan of Headway because you're getting 2 fungicides in one product. You're getting azoxystrobin and propiconazole, so that's why I like to use it towards the end of the year as my preventative fungicide. So hope that helps, man, and keep doing what you're doing. I love it when people say that your grass looks fake. You can't beat that, man. That's one of the biggest compliments that you can get, and that's again 3/4 of an inch, right? 3/4 of an inch looks awesome, and it doesn't ruin your life. I mean, you got to get out there, 2-3 times, twice a week, I'd say. Twice a week you can get away with 3/4 of an inch. Maybe 3 times a week when it's summertime, but I mean, it's not like half an inch. Half an inch, if you want to keep half inch or just under half an inch looking nice throughout the season, during the summer, you're mowing every day. Literally every day you're out there mowing. Between the beginning of June through July, like a 2-month period, you're on that everyday mowing life if you want to stay looking nice, which is a lot. It's a big commitment. It's a big commitment. Unless you don't have a family that's very understanding that, hey, we can't go out of town for a week because I got to mow it in half an inch. That tends to not fly too often. So yeah. All right. Grass Steve says there's only Tahoma 31 Bermuda grass. So there you go, Grass Steve. I thought so as much, and my research said at that. So I mean, the the person that was asking about, they said the place they called was referring to it as just Tahoma because there's only one. I guess they're just calling Tahoma 31 Tahoma. So there you go. Optic Cyclic is up next. Optic Cyclic is a helicopter. Oh, it's a helicopter person. It says, I bought a Canada Green 3-in-1 all-purpose hydroseeding system for fun. Have you ever done hydroseeding? I never have. People that have done it, I've heard they really like it, and it looks like it's a good way to get good results from what I understand. But I don't have any direct experience with hydroseeding my lawn. Optic Cyclic, I've never actually done that, so I can't comment and say, yeah, it's going to be great and that it's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm sure it works. The thing is that it's likely more work. So the question you have to ask yourself is if the additional effort that you have to put in to do that is worth what you get out of it. So the answer is probably yes, but I've just never done it. All right, next up is Naidu, I believe is how you say it. He says, at Ron and Henry, turf type tall fescue. What is a good time to use fungicide? So it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you have an active fungus problem or disease problem in your lawn, like yesterday would have been good. As far as cool season grass, so here's the thing. I don't know what fungus you guys or disease problems you guys deal with as far as in the springtime. If spring dead spot is a problem in a fescue lawn, it is an issue in Bermuda. But if that's an issue with fescue, then the same application timing would likely apply as far as October and then November, like doing one and then doing a follow-up application in November. But I'm not really familiar with a lot of the lawn diseases that face turf type tall fescue because I don't have it. I don't have that grass type. So the answer to your question, as a preventative, if you are in the fall, and again, assuming if you have a reason to use a fall preventative with turf type tall fescue, then I would say October and November. If you're talking about in the springtime, which applies fairly to most grass types, May, June time frame is a good time to get your preventative fungicide down. I tend to do mine in May, like April, May is when I do mine. But if you were to call up Syngenta and ask them and say, hey, listen, I want to put down a preventative fungicide. I don't have any issues with disease or lawn disease in my lawn, but I just want to prevent a preventative fungicide in my lawn. What time of year should I do that? They're likely going to tell you May, June timeframe. That is actually the best time to use a product, like a combination product like Caravan, is May, June. So unless you have reason to also worry about fall lawn diseases, then that is when I would say to do it. If you have Bermuda grass or spring dead spot is a problem, then again, October and again, another one in November is what I would say. Good stuff. Great question, sir. Hope that helps. All right, next up is Heartfelt Fashion, where he says, hey, Ron, it's a Granger in the house. He says, hey, Ron, this year was epic, an epic for me and the lawn. A bunch of firsts. First, lawn leveling. Outlet reel mower. Neighbors saying it's the best in the hood. Got to do it all again next year. No. Next year, you got to raise the bar. So what you got to do is, so this year, to me, heartfelt, it sounds like, I'm going to give you my heartfelt thoughts on your comment, is that yes, this year, based on your comment, it sounds like this year was a lot of foundational stuff. Like you got your mower, you got your lawn leveling done, you probably got a good fertilization program, did some soil testing, did everything, to kind of start getting things together. And it all came together with you dominating the neighborhood. Next year is going to be even better because now you know what you're doing, right? You got the mower, you're going to be able to start even sooner in the season. You're gonna, if you have a warm season grass lawn, you're gonna get your scalp done. You're gonna be cutting it with the right type of equipment earlier in the season. You're gonna be out there turf raking and verticutting it. You're gonna be doing a lot of stuff that's gonna take what already looks good now. It's gonna look even more incredible next year. So, okay, yeah. Project next year is in-ground irrigation. Yeah. So, well, what you're probably gonna end up doing then is in-ground irrigation, then probably another spot top dressing afterwards, because in-ground irrigation tends to be a bit destructive. You can do that, what Alex did, which was the vibratory trenching, where that does limit how much damage you do to the lawn. But if they're going to be digging a trench and putting like pipes in, you're going to probably want to do a light top dress after you're done. That's what Robert Rainey did. I think he did irrigation in his lawn. It was at the beginning of this season, I want to say it was, and then he top dressed afterwards, and now his lawn looks incredible. So you probably have another top dressing in your future if it's only the areas where they trenched. that this is where you might do it, but you might just end up doing the entire thing. But again, man, congrats on all the hard work paying off. Next year is going to be even better. Having irrigation is definitely a nice to have. It's definitely a bonus, right? Whenever you have like a really hot summer and there's no rainfall, being able to, just sit there on your phone and dial up, water is kind of a nice convenience to have. So good stuff. But I would also plan for a nice top dressing afterwards because it's going to mess up your nice smooth level lawn that you have now. Andrew Phillips is up next. He says, at Greg Lyon, I use a Kelway soil pH meter. Been using it for 4 years and it works really well. So the Kelway soil meter, huh? I got to look and see this. How much? What am I talking about here, Andrew? If I try and look up the price on the Kelway, if I try and click on this price, they're going to tell me, hey, if you have to ask how much it costs, you're too broke. Is it going to do that? Actually, it's not too bad. It's not as much as bad as I thought it would be. 150 bucks. That's not too bad. It's and it's on Amazon. When I saw a link for it on Amazon, I was like, okay, there's hope. It's not going to be crazy expensive because Amazon is carrying it. But I think this is what he's talking about. Is this the one that you have? Is this one you have, Andrew? So you can see here the Kelway HB2 soil pH and moisture meter. So it's a combination. Oh, so it's a 2-in-1 type device. Cool. And 150 is not. It's not cheap, but it's not. I thought it was gonna be a lot more expensive than that. So that's not terrible bad. That's kind of cool. Thanks for chiming in, Andrew. So there you go, Greg. Andrews is giving you his endorsement of a soil pH and moisture meter, and all it's going to cost you is the small nominal sum of $150 to be able to get even more data about what's going on in your lawn. It's kind of cool, right? So thanks for chiming in, Andrew. I appreciate you. And then next is Heartfelt Fashion. He says, thanks again for everything. I'm going to miss the Real Rollers party. It's my birthday. Why don't you just come down and just have your birthday down like here? You can come celebrate down here. We're cool to hang. Listen, even though we see like we're grass nerds, man, we're cool. We're cool to hang out with, man. I know you might, I'm sure you guys, I know you're probably gonna have a better party than you would have with us because you like fashion and you guys have like your runway shows. And I'm sure, your wife's probably gonna plan a much better party than hanging out at the turf park. But I'm just telling you, it would not be bad if you made the trip. It would be a good time. We'd hang out. I know it's from noon to 5, but who knows how long it's really going to go, right? And he says, I was going to drive those 3 hours from North Carolina. Also upgrade to the 10-blade reel. Cut my lawn amazingly this year. Very, very cool. Very cool. But yeah, man, there's still time. You never know. You might change your mind and make the trip. But yeah, if not, there'll be next times. There'll be other times as well. But I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing everybody and whoever decides to come out. And while we play cornhole and talk about real mowers and maybe watch some football and just relax, kick back, and just have a cool, chill time, right? All right, next up is Grayson Flowers. He says horizontal spread, you'll get better density. I'm not sure what maybe was that to the grooved roller question. I'm not sure what this comment is in reference to, but appreciate you chiming in, Grayson. I think you're the first time I've actually seen your name in the live stream. So if you're new, welcome. Next up is Daryl's in the house. Fairway Bermuda Lawn. He says, happy Friday, Ron. My first time soil testing back and front lawns separately. Should I wait for next season? Pre-emergent went down last Friday. Okay, so the first time you did a soil test of the back and front lawn separately, and you're saying, should I wait for next season for pre-emergent? I went down last Friday. Okay, so I guess you're saying, are you waiting? Should you wait until next season to apply whatever it's saying as far as doing the amendments? If that's the question, it depends on what they are, right? So if it's saying that your pH is off, that's something I would work on correcting now because it takes a while to do that. If it's saying that your lawn is largely nitrogen deficient, then we still got time in this season to still feed it, Daryl, but I wouldn't go crazy heavy on fertilizer apps this time of year. Because I know you're in Mississippi, right? Yeah, you don't want to go too crazy on your nitrogen inputs this time of year. But for things like pH adjustments, you can absolutely still do that now without issue. As a matter of fact, most of the services around here that actually do their lime applications to try and raise soil pH, they tend to do it in the fall this time of year. So assuming I'm understanding your question properly or comment properly, hope that helps. All right, next up is Mike CS. He says, could Cytogro and Indole 3-butyric acid stuff in rooting powder help grass seed germination? Don't know. I don't know. I have not heard of indole 3-butyric acid until today. But I would just check the label. I mean, Cytogrow is I believe that is Ecologel's seaweed product, or seaweed and kelp product. It can't hurt. It can't hurt the grass once it begins germinating. Now, will it help with the actual germination? I don't know. I can't. I don't know that it's actually going to help accelerate the germination process. But once the grass begins growing, I can see it being beneficial. So I don't know that if you put Cytogrow down, you're going to get germination faster than if you didn't put Cytogrow down. But the grass will do better with Cytogrow in the soil, or any other kelp product in the soil, than if you did not have that in the soil. So hope that helps, Mike CS. Will it help? Yes, but perhaps not in the way that you're thinking. If the question is, I'm trying to get the lawn to germinate, or the seed to germinate faster. He said, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't plan to cover the seed, hoping for quick germination with the help of the surrounding grass. Yeah, so a couple of things as far as quick germination, it depends on the grass type you choose, right? Because that is going to be, I mean, your prep work matters, but also the grass type you choose to overseed with matters probably more than anything else. Like if you take Kentucky bluegrass and decide to overseed with that, from what I understand, that's a 3-week time frame you're looking at, 2 to 3 weeks anyway, before you get any kind of germination. And if you choose something like a ryegrass, it's like a week. Within a few days, you're going to start seeing it begin to germinate and pop in. So your grass type is going to have a bigger bearing. The one you choose is going to have a bigger bearing on how quickly it germinates or how quickly the lawn fills in, more so than adding Cytogrow or some other product to try and help accelerate germination, if that makes sense. So hope that helps, sir. Now, you told me you're in Ohio, but you didn't tell me what kind of grass, which would have been, we need that. We need that one. That's the one piece of information that would also have been kind of helpful, Mike. Eric Bauer is up next here. He says, any advice on the best product to kill clover? I bought Celsius and Tenacity from you, combo or something different. Thanks for the help. Okay, so hopefully you bought Celsius and Certainty combination, because I would not mix Celsius and Tenacity together. That would not be good. I mean, you can mix them, but I don't know what you would spray it on, because Celsius is for warm season grass, Tenacity is for cool season grass. If you spray that on, regardless of the kind of grass you spray that on, it's going to make some kind of grass angry. So hopefully you meant the Celsius Certainty combination, and that should help. I want to say that Celsius is labeled for clover. There's a lot of different products that are labeled for clover, like even some certain 3-ways, like the Triad Select should also be able to knock back clover as well. But that combination that you got, the Celsius Certainty combination, should work for that as well, Eric. But it should be Celsius and Certainty, not Celsius and Tenacity. We don't sell a kit that has Tenacity and Celsius in it, because again, they're designed for 2 different grass types altogether. It wouldn't make sense to combine those on a lawn. Would not make sense to combine those on a lawn. All right, so hope that helps, sir. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. If you have, you can add additional, clarifications in the chat if you need to. But if you have additional detail, you can also email me, ron@golfcourselawn.com, and I'll try and help you out. But I think that's what you're talking about, is a Celsius Certainty combination kit. And if that's the case, then you should be good to go as far as knocking back clover. So I'm looking here. I see Latanja says, Ron, you skipped my question. Latanja, I don't see a question from you. Let me scroll back up here. When did you ask it? I don't see a question here. If you don't mind, just ask it again, because unless there's something going on, I don't see a question from you. What's funny is you're the second person that's said that. A person last week said that I skipped their question. I didn't see a question from them either. So ask the question again, because I don't see something anything in the chat for you. And I've got it 2 ways. I've got like YouTube's chat, and I've got another chat here that my software, and in neither one of them am I seeing a comment from you. So if you don't mind, just ask it again, and I will definitely revisit it. All right. Okay. Next up here we have, got to find out where I left off. Let me see. We have Optic Cyclic. He says, I always used to relax on Sunday watching F1 and then delay in the days of Damon Hill. Since I moved to Canada, I don't really see so much anymore. It's not as popular, despite the Montreal Grand Prix and Villeneuve. But you can still, I mean, you got to figure there's only how many F1 races do we have? There's Miami this year, and I think wasn't there like there's a race in Texas. I'm not sure if we are twice this season in the United States or not. I know that there's Miami, but I'm not sure if Texas still has its race. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. I mean, part of the cool thing about Formula One is not only, the racing's obviously fun of it, a big part of it, but also just seeing the venues and the areas where they, different parts of the world they travel to come do this, and just the sheer amount of crazy, insane logistics that goes into making that happen is just really cool to see how they pull it off. And well, not say every week, but they pull it off as well as they do, right? So it's just crazy amount of money it takes to do that. So next up is Two Trilla. He says, I'm a little late today. Wife had surgery this morning. Oh man, I'm sorry. Hopefully all went, we said all is well. All is well. Just wanted to stop in and say hello to you and the gang. Well, hopefully all, things continue to go well, speedy recovery and all that. And appreciate you coming to hang out in the live stream. That stinks. Hopefully the surgery helped resolve or fix whatever was going on. So, there's always that. Prayers for a speedy recovery for her. Thanks for coming to hang out, sir. I do appreciate it. Greg Lyon is up next. He says, I'm in the Atlanta area, and it'll be in the low 90s for several days next week and the upper 80s before that and after. I'm hoping that'll help the Bermuda stay greener a little longer. It should. I can't see. It's not going to hurt. Bermuda likes sunlight and it likes heat, and we still got sunlight. Not as much. We still got sunlight, and that heat is also going to help out as well. So, yeah, it should help it last a bit longer. Here's the thing, Greg. The weather around here is so crazy. Like last year, it wasn't until like late December that we got a proper cold snap that really pushed the lawn into dormancy. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't green like how it looks now, but it really began the fall off was very, very, very slow until like late November, December timeframe is when the lawn began to check out, and we got that first cold snap. So you just never know with Bermuda, man. You never know with Bermuda in Georgia. Because again, our winters, our air quotes winters are fairly mild. So you can't, you just never know. You just never know. And we'll just hope and pray that we keep our grasses green for as long as it can. The nice thing about this time of year, which I'm kind of appreciating, is the grass still looks good. Lawn still looks great. And it's not growing as aggressively as it was, 6 weeks ago, which is kind of nice. Lawn still looks nice, not growing crazy fast, which is kind of sweet. So this time, if I could lock in this time of year, it would be perfect because it's not as hot. And again, the grass is not growing like it's trying to set some kind of world record. Let's make Ron mow some more. Let's go, guys. So yeah. Okay, next up is Jesus Prado. He's back here. He says, Mauricio Salinas, I use the professional size. Here we go. So, here's the thing. I can tell you, this is a man. Whenever you asked him about his goalpost setup, you absolutely lit his afterburners. He's like, I'm going to try and read it how Jesus probably says it. He says, Mauricio, I use a professional size, 8 by 24 foot goal. The big net in the back, if Ron can show it again, that's about 20 feet tall, 80 feet wide, and my field is about 100 by 100 feet. Continued, because you got to make sure it's a very complete comment. Great answer. He says the 8 feet tall by 24 foot goal is perfect size for my field. And I try to read it or say it as with as much pride as I'm sure you have in that amazing stand of turf you got there, Jesus. It sounds legit, man. Sounds like you went out and you got like a really nice goal set up, which you should, because you want the goal to match the lawn. The lawn looks incredible. You want to put some some raggedy halfway broke down goal. You have a nice setup, right? You want it to all look pristine, which is really cool. All right, next is next up is Eric Bauer. He says, I just checked. I bought the Celsius Uncertainty. Thank goodness. That's what I thought you meant. He says, I don't have tenacity. Asking for clover. Thanks again. Yeah, that combination should take care of it for you, Eric. Shouldn't have a problem with that. Next up is Greg Lyon. He says, regarding my shady areas, the grass was already weak, and now with the sand on top of it, nothing is growing. If I put zoysia or fescue, won't that begin competing with Bermuda in the edges? Yes. So, but again, Greg, here's the thing. You've done a lot in the lawn, man. You've done a lot in the lawn. Like I think you said you removed a tree, you're leveling, you did a lot. So, you don't get to have, it doesn't all get to come together all at once. It'd be nice if it did, but it doesn't all get to come together normally all at one time. It takes time for the lawn to recover from everything you've been putting it through. And to answer your question, if you put down fescue or zoysia, would it begin competing with the Bermuda? Yes. Yeah, it will. I mean, the fescue I wouldn't worry about. I wouldn't be as worried about, but zoysia, yeah, absolutely. The zoysia is not going to just stay in the shaded area. It's going to also try and find more sunlight or move into the area where there's more sunlight as well too. So that's something you have to consider as well. So what I would say is you cut the tree back, you raise the canopy. Let's give it some time and see how the area begins to recover, because any grass like that you put in there is, unless you put some kind of a barrier or something to separate the two, they are going to end up getting mixed and intertwined, and it's going to continue to spread. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a consideration, which is why I kind of said that waiting until giving it time and seeing how the grass responds to the additional sunlight from you raising the canopy is the way that I would go, So just something to keep in mind and consider as well. All right, we got Lois up next. She says, I've been watching from afar. I figured as much, as I converted a 7 by 21 foot section of my lawn to a butterfly garden. That's cool. What, pray tell, does it take to do a butterfly garden? Is it like a greenhouse frame with, like, I guess, netting, or very fine netting, I guess, like a mosquito net or something to keep them in? That's what I imagine it was like. His neighbor and I had to use a pickaxe to break up the thick roots. Garden has produced a lot of caterpillars. Very, very cool, man. Well, that's nice. It's nice that you got your butterfly garden growing. It looks pretty cool. If you get a chance, and if you feel like showing it, I mean, you may not want everyone to see your butterfly garden, but if you can, at some point, maybe for next week, take a picture of it and show us, because I've never seen one, and it'd be cool to see what your project, how it turned out, how it looks. Sounds like you put a lot of work into it, having to break up tree roots and all this kind of stuff to get the butterfly garden to be able to put it in. So yeah, would like to see a picture of it. Sounds cool. Next up is Jesus Prado. He says, at Ron Henry, I've been thinking about starting a YouTube channel, but I don't know how to really start. First, I already have a good start, which is a nice lawn. Continued. I like that, because he's got to give a full comment. He says, I don't know, which is a nice lawn, which is nice. I just don't know what to post and what to talk about. I really don't have a creative mind. Any tips on how to start and how you get your video ideas? To be honest, I can only think about is mowing videos. Yeah, I mean, I would say just start. The biggest thing is just to start. Now, if you're really trying, if you want to do good well on YouTube, and it's something that I'm still figuring out, and I mean, it's something to think about regardless of what kind of content you decide to make, is that in our niche, people tend to like stories more so than topics. So like I have a lot of content where I will show you how to mix fertilizer, how to mix pre-emergent, or how to use PGR. And those videos do okay, but the videos that are more like a story, for example, like if I do a video on like, hey, here's how to level your lawn, it's gonna do all right. But if you can take whatever it is that you're doing and make a story into it, right? So where you are like the video that's done the best on my channel, which is like a video that I've made 1,000 times in different formats, is how to level like a bumpy part of your lawn. The only difference was I made a story into it. So the guy's mowing his lawn and he comes across a bump and it makes kind of irritating. And now how do you take that and make it into something that's fun and entertaining to watch, while at the same time being educational and just, providing value. So it's just, you have to like put yourself in your audience's mind and think about like, what would you want to watch? Like what kind of content would you want to watch? And do that. The one thing I'd say too is, be, as much as you can, be respectful of your audience's time. So don't make something any longer than it needs to be. Like don't chase the algorithm, chase the audience. You know what I mean? Like provide value for your audience based on the questions or the things that they want answered. And if you do that, you're going to do all right. You're going to be successful on YouTube. You're going to be fine. It may take you longer, it may take you shorter. Everyone's path is a little different. But if you go that route where you make content that is useful, and also entertaining to watch, you're gonna do well. And just start filming it. I mean, the best way to start a YouTube channel is just to start a YouTube channel. I mean, for several years, I spent more time filming on an iPhone. I have more years filming on an iPhone than I do filming on all the equipment, the stuff that I use now. I mean, the stuff that I use now, I like a lot better. It's way easier to use, produces a much better picture, and just frankly is a joy to work with compared to filming on an iPhone. But it's like don't get caught up in a lot of the tech stuff. You know what I mean? Like focus on good storytelling. Buy a decent microphone. That's important because people will tolerate so-so video, but they really people can't stand crappy audio. Like think about it. Go watch a YouTube video, and the video, if it looks like it was filmed on an Etch-a-Sketch, you might tolerate it if the audio is really good, but it could be filmed on like a really nice camera, like when I'm talking to you guys on right now. And if the audio sounds like this, you're not going to watch it. If I'm watching the audio and it sounds terrible, people are just not going to put up with it, right? So make sure that whenever you are like focus on making sure audio. I think it was George Lucas said that audio is at least half the picture. So make sure you have good audio. Outside of that, just focus on storytelling and just get started, get going, man. You already have a great lawn, so there's that. Tell the story about how you got your lawn the way it is. That's what I would do. All right, next up is Mike Harvey. He said, the yard was beautiful until I top dressed and then it went to crap. I'll email you a pic from earlier this year when it was popping. Yeah, I mean, how heavy did you go on the top dressing, Mike? There's that, but top dressing in itself shouldn't make a lawn worse. I mean, in most cases, if you went light and when the lawn recovers, it looks better in most situations. So it'd be nice to see a before picture. If you have pictures of what you did when you top dressed it, that would be nice to see too. And then a picture of what the lawn looks like now would be kind of cool as well. So yeah, email them to me if you don't mind. My email is ron@golfcourselawn.com. If you send me pictures, I'll take a look at them. And if you want, I get your permission, we can show them on the live stream next week. We can see where you were, what you did with the top dressing, and where you are now, and just go from there. And here's the thing, Mike. You got to be honest. You got to let me know if it was just the top dressing, or was there anything else? Was there anything else that happened too? Remember, I'm a tech guy. It's like whenever someone comes to me and says, "Oh, my computer was working absolutely fine," and then all of a sudden it stops working, and I'm like, "What did you do?" And they always say nothing. Then you probe long enough and you find out there's or I over applied fertilizer, I overdid this or something. I'm not saying you did that, but like make sure you don't leave anything out as far as everything you did this year, because that's going to allow us to get you from where you are now to where you want to be that much faster. So I'll look out for the pictures, and I will definitely do my best to help you out in any way that I can. JBL4345 is up next. He says, "Hey Ron, my St. Aggie got hit hard with brown spot. Not good. Thinned it out drastically. Is it too late in the season to help it, or just settle and wait till spring?" Depends on where in the country you are. If you're in Florida, probably not too late because you probably got a whole lot of growing season left. If you are in mid to northern Texas or some other place that's going to get cool here soon, you can, here's what I would say. If the grass is still actively growing, JBL, continue to feed it. Continue to feed it. Don't go crazy on your fertilizer apps. But if it's still actively growing, where you're still out there mowing it a couple times a week and it's still looking nice and green and lush, then continue to feed it. As far as the lawn recovering from brown spot, assuming you got a fungicide down to suppress that, to prevent from getting worse, it's really just a time thing that's going to help the lawn heal from the damage that caused. You know what I mean? So to say if it's going to be able to heal this year or not depends on where in the country you are. But if it's, again, to repeat what I said earlier, if the grass is still actively growing, I would continue to feed it. As long as the grass is actively growing, continue feeding it. And that's going to be, continue feeding it, continue mowing it, and that's going to help. That's going to help it speed up the process and help it get better. So, hope that helps, sir. Definitely let me know if I can help with anything else. And next we got music from Brisbane, Australia. He says, "Hey, hi from Brisbane, Australia, from down under." Very cool, man. Welcome from Australia. Nice to have you in the chat. He says, "It's spring. It just hit here. The whole city has had brown spot in Bermuda after a wet winter. Ew. Not fun. Not nice. Sounds like it's time for some fungicide." You guys can likely get, I know there's a lot of Syngenta fungicides that are available for sale in Australia. You probably can get, maybe you can get Headway or something similar. The labeling is often a little bit different, but I'm sure there are fungicides that you can apply. Music, something that can help with that too. And again, it's a little bit too late now, and which also I'm a reason why I also have becoming more and more a fan of at least thinning out the lawn at some point during the season. Like if you can manage how much thatch the lawn has, like if you're not allowing it to get really thick and spongy to where when you get rain on it, a lot of water just hangs around, which promotes conditions where you can start having problems with disease. That can, that's something to keep in mind for this season. I know that you're just getting started, But once your lawn recovers from the damage from the brown spot, consider doing that. Consider, in addition to, your mowing and fertilization, consider as you get towards the peak of your growing season, when it really begins to get really thick, consider thinning it out. So a good turf raking or a verticutting, that will help. And what would be an interesting experiment, and it's going to take like a year to actually run this, obviously, right? Would be if you were able to do that and see how, not this upcoming season, but the following season, how your lawn does as far as lawn disease compared to your neighbor's lawns or other surrounding lawns that did not do that. It'd be interesting to see how that how it does. But yeah, man, thanks for coming to hang out from Australia. It's really cool that you're chiming in. It's cool that our audience, the U.S. audience, is going to start falling off here the next couple of months because it's going to be wintertime. But for you guys, it's going to be ramping up. So very cool. Next up is Andrew. He says, is it too late to put down a fungicide on Bermuda grass in Greensville, South Carolina? Depends on why you're doing it. If you have a disease problem that you're trying to suppress suppress the best word, suppress or control, then no, it's not too late. If you're trying to apply a fungicide for preventing spring dead patch next year, I would wait a little bit longer. I would wait till next month and then an application in November. But it really depends on why you're doing it. If you got something actively going on, then no, it's absolutely not too late. But if you're trying to do a preventative, it's actually a bit early for a fall fungicide app. I would wait a little bit longer before I did my fall fungicide app on Bermuda. If the goal is to keep spring dead spot away. The times, if we're going to talk about that really quickly, as far as the times of year to do a preventative fungicide application, would be the months of May and June timeframe, and then October, November. That's the times to do it if you are doing it for preventative purposes. Now, if you have an again, I said this already, but I'll just say it one more time. If you have an active disease problem in your lawn, then you're not going to wait till you don't take care of it now. You want to suppress or try and control it now from getting any worse. But if you're just doing this preventative, that's the time frames when I would do it. October, November, and then May, June. Good stuff, Andrew. So hopefully that helps, sir. And because I'll be doing my headway apps here in a few weeks. I'll be doing my first of them in a couple of weeks. All right, next up is Tom B. He says, I had to patch some dead spots in my Kentucky bluegrass lawn. Mix seed with the Scott's lawn soil, and I've had great results after 7 to 10 days. Nice. Use Seed Superstore KBG blend. It must have been the summer GC lawn treats. I'm not sure what GC stands for. But sounds like a good plan, Tom. So it sounds like you got, the Scott's I've never heard of the Scott's lawn soil, but it sounds like it worked well for you. If doing that and the quality seed that you did is getting you germination in 10 days, which I thought for Kentucky bluegrass sounds a bit fast, that's really good, man. If it's working, keep going. Keep it rolling. All right, Greg Lyon is up next. Says only 22 likes so far. Let's add a few more. Yeah, we're done better. The likes are trending up. But again, if you guys are now in the live stream, if you guys joined here recently and you've not touched the like button on your way to sitting down with your tasty beverage of choice or whatever, you're maybe eating dinner or whatever you're doing, tap that like button. It's a free way to support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and I really would appreciate it. I'm gonna take a sip of my water while I look for the next question. All right. Andrew Phillips says it's $149. Yep. And that's what we found it on Amazon for. You said yours is similar to the one I just showed. The Kelway HB2 soil pH and moisture meter. Dude, okay, so Andrew, here's the thing, man. I'm not making fun of you, but you're officially a lawn nerd, right? Like, there's a couple of things that make you a lawn nerd. I mean, yeah, a real mower. I could say you could be you're definitely getting into lawn nerddom if you have a reel mower. But if you got a moisture and pH meter, or you're like Robert Rainey and have like a prism gauge, dude, yeah, totally. That's totally on lawn nerd. Definitely. All you need is the pocket protector and like, I don't know, some kind of like a rain gauge or something you walk around with. You probably got the rain app on your phone and stuff. I mean, that definitely puts you in squarely in hardcore lawn nerd territory, which is cool. I like it. All right, next up is Kevin Dow. He says, at Ron Henry, have you used a walk-behind sod roller that is gas-powered? I need to flatten out parts of my lawn that has a high spot in the middle of my vanity strip and other parts in the yard. I've not, I'm trying to think. Have I ever used a sod roll? Oh, that's not true. That's not true. I have. And I'm trying to think how many years ago it's been. Man, it's gotta be at least 5 years. Because one of the guys in the neighborhood rented one, and he says, "Hey man, you want to roll your lawn?" I'm like, "I've never done it before." He says, "Yeah man, it's cool. Make it nice and smooth." And I rolled it, and it did make it, like, visually, it makes it a bit better, but it also compacted the soil quite a bit too. So which is why I did it one time and never did it again. So and I do remember it was a bit smoother, but it wasn't like a night and day difference. It's probably one of those things you need to do fairly often and regularly to really see the benefits, the big benefits. I've done it like one time. So in your case, you're trying to do it to flatten out parts that have like a high spot in your vanity strip. You could try it and see. I don't know how well it would work for that. I don't recall using it to flatten out any areas in my vanity strip. I don't know how well it would work. I mean, it can't hurt. It can't make it worse, but I just don't know how much it's going to smooth out, like any rises that you have in your vanity strip. I guess it depends, one, on how compacted the soil is and how big of a lump we're talking about here. If it's a mild one and the soil isn't very compacted, I imagine it would have a pretty good effect. But if it's highly compacted or it's a big lump, then you're probably going to get some benefit, but not as much as if, like I said, if we're not compacted and you're only trying to make a small change to the lawn. So hope that helps, man. But definitely, Kevin, let us know how it works. If you're going to be in the live stream next week, if you're going to try it, whenever you decide you're going to do it, definitely keep us posted as to how it does as far as the results you get with it. Next up is McNasty Motorsports. He says, just checking in. Just in from a mow and spoon feeding. I like it. Good job. Love it. Scalp recovery coming in 10 days later and is 90% there. Very, very cool. Yeah, man. So I've not scalped this late in the season, but I remember your question from, it was either last week or two live streams ago where you were talking about doing it. And I said, if you're going to do it now. And just know that it's going to take longer. But it sounds like your lawn is fighting back, which is great. Good stuff, man. I like it. It's very cool. And Latanja, again, I don't see a question from you. So if you have a question, just post it again. Okay, yeah, I think I see it here now. Let me run down here and get it. She's okay. I have some crabgrass or Dallas grass. Should I kill it in addition to putting down pre-emergent? If you have crabgrass, yes, you can kill it with something like a quinclorac is pretty good against crabgrass. Now here's the thing. This late in the season, if it's really mature, like full grown, like hulked out crabgrass, quinclorac will injure it, but as far as the results you get, it's not going to be as good as if you've taken care of it, in May, June timeframe. But yes, if you want to treat the crabgrass or target the crabgrass now, you still can. Dallas grass, unfortunately, there's not really a selective herbicide that is labeled for use on residential lawns for Dallas grass. So in that case, you're just going to want to dig it up. The best way to get rid of Dallas grass in a residential lawn currently, until someone comes on a different herbicide and they get it approved by the EPA, is to remove it, just to physically remove it. Crabgrass you can spray out. So for that one, you'll use quinclorac, Latanja. And I will put that up here. Here we go. And I'll give you a link to that. Make sure you read the label for it, because to get the best results, you want to use MSO, a methylated seed oil, along with it. So make sure you read the label for this product, because in there, it's not hard to do. I'm throwing out terms out here, but it's not complicated. But just read the label so that you make sure you mix it in the right ratio so you get a good result. And this is the herbicide that I am talking about, at Latanja Moore and quinclorac. That will do the crabgrass. Sorry, I don't have anything for you for the Dallas grass. Certainty will injure Dallas grass, but it's not going to kill it. So I don't, unless you also want something that will take care of sedges and POA, and you just want to just injure the Dallas grass just to be spiteful, then you get certainty. But I wouldn't want you to go out and spend all that money on it, thinking that it's going to kill it, because it is not. It's not going to kill it. All right, next up is Matt Brown. He says, Ron is the best. I don't know about that, but I do try, sir. And then next is JBL4345. He says, I was thinking of putting down ryegrass in the winter. I'm here in deep East Texas and was wondering if this could possibly retard the growth of my St. Augustine or benefit it in the spring when it dies? Okay. I'm not, that'd be a first, JBL. I've never heard of anyone overseeding St. Augustine with ryegrass, but here's the thing. If it's going to behave anything like Bermuda, it's not going to just die off on its own when springtime rolls around. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get rid of it. You're going to want to spray it out with something like Celsius or Katana or some other selective herbicide that's safe for St. Augustine, but that will kill the ryegrass. Because I've seen a couple of examples of lawns where people overseeded with ryegrass this time of year, and they just let it ride out thinking, okay, when it gets hot, it's going to kill it off. And what's going to happen, what you're going to find is that you'll end up with around June timeframe where you don't have Bermuda, but in a Bermuda lawn, this is what happened. The Bermuda doesn't look that good. It looks kind of sickly and not really taken off because it's still got this ryegrass in it. And the ryegrass looks like it's trying to die, but just won't. It looks like it's dried out and a bunch of little sticks in the lawn, and it looks really ugly because you have two grass types that look visually very different to each other, and they're both not doing well. So I've never heard of someone overseeding St. Augustine with rye. I guess you could try it, but if you do that, I would plan for getting rid of it in the March timeframe, March-April timeframe, so that your St. Augustine isn't competing with another grass. And the thing to keep in mind is if you're spraying a herbicide on your grass, on your lawn at a time when it's trying to come out of dormancy, it is going to retard or slow the growth a little bit. It's not like it's not going to fill in, but if you're going to spray herbicides, the best time to spray herbicides, in my opinion, on a lawn is when the grass is completely dormant. So the grass that you're trying to protect is completely dormant, or when it's growing and it's fully vibrant and doing really well. In both cases, when it's dormant, the grass isn't really going to be affected by the herbicide nearly as much. And when it's growing very aggressively and it's already filled in and established, it's going to be able to resist the damage and heal and recover from it that much faster. When it's transitioning, if you spray a lawn, you're going to slow that down. You're going to slow down how quickly the lawn comes out of dormancy. So it's your call. It would be a first. That would be a first I've ever heard of ryegrass, of St. Augustine being overseeded with rye. But if you want to try it, just know what you're getting into in the spring as far as getting rid of it. I would not plan for it to die off by itself. I would absolutely make plans to get rid of it come March, April timeframe, so you don't have a big mess in your lawn, into late spring and early summer. All right, next up is Dalvin Larry. He says, hey, Ron, are you sticking to the Golf Course Lawn Academy calendar and doing another FERT/pre-emergent on the 1st of October, or have you noticed enough change in the weather to adjust the calendar? I'm still going to do a FERT app. I'm just going to back it down. I'm going to back the rate down, Dalvin. We are not getting the 100-degree temps that the gentleman in Memphis was saying, but we are going to get some more heat. So I'm going to feed it. I'm going to feed the lawn. I'm just going to back the rate down compared to what I would normally do. It's not going to get the full September rate in 2 weeks from now than it would normally get. So yeah, in other words, yes, I'm following the calendar. I am following the calendar. That is what I'm doing. All right. So, but of course, you're also in the Facebook group. So if you have any other questions, or if you want to bounce an idea off of me saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing this and this, or, this combination at these rates, what do you think? Throw it in the group. I'll answer. The other gals in there will answer. So, we'll make a collaborative effort to make sure you get a good result in your lawn. So yeah, but yes, I am sticking to the calendar. All right. G-Free301 says, Ron, what do you think causes mushrooms to appear in one's lawn? I saw about 5 the other day in one area, now gone. I think it's a combination of, I think it's really a moisture thing. It's a moisture retention thing is what I think it is, G-Free. Because fun fact, right? Before I started turf raking the lawn, every year, I would get mushrooms in the lawn in the morning time. So I'd wake up in the morning, there'd be a few here and there. By 10 o'clock, they'd be wilted and die off and be gone. But since I started turf raking the lawn regularly, like turf raking and verticutting it, which is really managing the amount of thatch that's in the lawn, like mushrooms have become far less of an issue. I rarely, really see any in my lawn. I can count on one hand the number of times this year that I've seen mushrooms in my lawn since I started doing that. So I would think I believe it's a moisture thing. You tend to see it more, at least around here, after a lot of heavy rainfall is when you're going to see more mushrooms pop in. So it's more moisture and your lawn's ability to hang on to moisture, meaning if it's got like a fairly substantial thatch layer, so it's spongy and just keeping a lot of moisture, that's when you're going to see more mushrooms than in the middle of the summer when it's really hot and dry. So hope that helps, sir. That is what I've observed. And again, there's something about thinning the lawn out and managing the thatch levels that really seems to reduce that as well. And fungus problems. I haven't had any fungus problems this year so far, knock on wood, that this year. So we'll see. Lots of benefits to turf raking and all the other cultural practices you're able to do with an interchangeable cartridge system mower. All right, next up is Mike CS. He says, I am going to overseed with perennial ryegrass mixture called Advanced Turf GLR. Three-way mixture, privately branded by Pure Seed, I believe. Lawn is Jonathan Green, Black Beauty Ultra, Turf Type Tall Fescue, Perennial Ryegrass, Kentucky Bluegrass, Original Grass. Sounds like a plan. If it's a premium seed and you look at the reviews for it and the reviews are good, meaning people that use it seem to like and love it, sounds like a plan, man. Again, I'm not the guy to ask about who makes the best cool season grass seed, because I don't have a cool season lawn. I've never over the extent of my seeding cool season grass is when I had my little planter, when I grew some ryegrass in that, and it looked pretty awesome. But yeah, as far as like what is the best seed to go with, I would look at the reviews or look at YouTubers that do a lot of overseeding of their lawns in this time of year and see what seeds they like. But if it's like you said, it sounds, I mean, given that it's a three-way and it's a private label, all of it sounds very top shelf, Mike CS. I mean, I have no idea who Pure Seed is, but it's the way you describe it. It sounds like Guinness versus Red Stripe. So if that makes sense. If you drink Guinness, Guinness is I think a pretty good beer, whereas Red Stripe is like not good. It's mainly tourists drink it. We don't drink that back home. All right. Next up is Mike CS. He says, I don't plan to cover, but I do plan to scalp and do the deepest scarification with the Sun Joe. Sounds like a plan. Yeah, man. I mean, I think you've got it worked out, Mike. I mean, it sounds like you've done it before, and you're going to do a scarification to help improve that soil to seed contact. You should get good germination. I mean, assuming that the seed is a quality seed, which it sounds like, you're putting enough water on it, which I'm sure you're going to do. You do a good job prepping it, which it sounds like you got that worked out as well. No reason for you not to get a good result in your lawn. No reason for that to not happen. So Latanja, I did answer your question about Dallas grass and crabgrass, and then you need to put down pre-emergent. I didn't answer that specifically, but yes, pre-emergent is something you absolutely want to do, and I've already answered you as far as what to do for crabgrass, and then for Dallas grass, dig it out if you really want it gone. Brody Cantrell is up next. He says, planning to apply Spectacle Flow this weekend. Should I also apply Prodiamine in the early spring? You shouldn't need to. You should. I mean, when you say early spring, are you talking about for your spring summer pre-emergent, or are you talking about early spring? Well, yeah, not be the question. The answer is yes. If you are, even if you're using Spectacle, I would use Spectacle for your fall pre-emergent to carry you through the fall, through the winter, and into the springtime. And then if you want to do Spectacle again, you could, or you could switch to something like Prodiamine or dithiopyr. So when you said early spring, I was thinking like late winter, like December-ish timeframe, but no, you said early spring. So if you did Spectacle now, I would do whatever pre-emergent you decide you're going to use for next season in the late February, early March timeframe. That is what I would do, Brody. Russell C is up next. He says, hey, Ron, do you think Yukon would outcompete common Bermuda, or would I be better off killing the common Bermuda seeding? I'm planning this next year. I can't say which would outcompete which. What you're going to end up with is a mutt lawn initially, and over time it may spread and look less mutt lawny. But if your thing is to have like a lawn that looks consistent across the board, your best bet is to get rid of it and then just start from scratch. Like that is the way you're definitely going to ensure that when it all grows in, it's all going to look even, but from a texture and color standpoint. The whole idea of throwing down a grass type and saying, this type of Bermuda is going to outcompete this type of Bermuda, it's hard to say. It's really kind of a crapshoot trying to do that. And even if it does, it's not like a single growing season type thing. It's like many, many years to get that to happen. So I don't think that's what you're trying to do. So if you want it to look nice, evenly, as quickly as possible, then that renovation sounds like is what you're going to be doing next year. Jesus Prado is up next. He says, I would kill off, yeah, the same thing I say. He says, I would completely kill off the common first and then seed with the Yukon next year. It's better to have it perfect than regret looking at the common in your Yukon lawn. There you go. I could not have said it better myself, Jesus. I agree with you. All right, let me see here. Liz Lou says, my lawn is dying. Can you help me see what happened? I can, but I mean, you gotta let me know what's going on. I mean, you say it's dying, but I mean, I guess for one, you can send me pictures of it. Like, here's the picture of my email, ron@golfcourselawn.com. Send me pictures of the lawn. And when you send the pictures, Liz Lou, let me know what part of the country you're in, like what you've done to the lawn this growing season. So like, have you been fertilizing it all? Has there been any problem with like lawn disease or anything like that that you know about? How often are you mowing it? Like that type of stuff. Make sure you put all that information in the email, because that'll allow me to come up with an idea of what could be going on. A lot of times, especially if you are not, if you're just getting into lawn care and you just haven't been taking care of the lawn, a lot of it is just neglect, right? A lot of it is like the lawn not getting fertilized properly. And then, the way to know, hang on, let me just come over here real quick. The way to know like what kind of fertilizer you should be using is to use one of these, a soil test kit. Like this, if you haven't gotten one, at some point in the email, I'm going to tell you to do this. I'm going to tell you to get a soil test, because a soil test is going to let us know whether you have a soil pH problem, whether it's too high or too low, if any of the macronutrients. So you probably heard about like your lawn needs nitrogen, but it also needs a lot of other stuff too, right? When it comes to fertilizer isn't just nitrogen. It's a suite of nutrients that your lawn needs. And the question is, how much of each of those nutrients does your lawn need to do well? And this is what's going to tell us the answer to that. You know what I mean? So in addition to your email, sending me pictures of the lawn and letting me know things you've done and the issues that you've been having, plan for this if assuming you don't already have one. Like if you've not done a soil test yet, this is going to be one of the things I'm going to write you back and tell you to do. You can get them here at the golf course lawn store. Get my email off here. You already got my email, I'm sure, ron@golfcourselawn.com. But here at the golf course lawn store, I'll show you, make it easier. If you go here and you go to first the store and then the shop and then soil test kits and pH adjustments, this is the one that I would recommend that you get, because it comes with both the test kit and it comes with this. It comes with a probe, which is you're going to need this to collect the soil samples, which is super easy to do, and you're going to need this to actually get the results. In the description of the product, you scroll down, there's a video that talks about, well, one, what soil pH is and breaks down what some of the micronutrients are, or the nutrients are, and why you should care about it, why it's important. And then there's a video saying, here's how you use one of these guys. Here's how you use a soil test. So it's all there. Go to the golf course lawn store, pick up one of these, because that is something I am gonna ask you to do as part of trying to figure out why your lawn is dying. So hope that helps. We can definitely get it better. But we got to have the data in order to be able to do that. So hope that helps, Liz Lou. And I think this is the first time I've seen you in the live stream. If it is your first time, welcome. Looking forward to helping you out with your lawn. Andrew says, thank you, Ron Henry. You're very, very welcome, Andrew. No problem at all. And Andrew is chiming in. He says, depends on the condition at Liz Lou and where you are. Like if it's too wet or too dry, it could be from too heavy fertilizer application. Yeah, the big thing is, like to Andrew's point, there's a lot of different things that can cause a lawn to not look good, to give the appearance of dying or just look sickly, just not be in great shape. The one thing that I have yet to find a lawn that has great soil and yet the lawn looks crappy from a standpoint of like the color of the lawn. Now, what you can find is you can have lawns that have great soil, but they don't mow it, and it still looks really nice and green. It doesn't look like it doesn't have that manicured look, but the grass still looks nice. So if you want a great lawn, focus on creating the best soil possible, because grass grows in soil. So the better the soil is, the better the soil is balanced and the nutrient, it has the right amount of nutrients in it. Like awesome grass is a byproduct. Kind of like saying, I want to have like a six pack, I want to have like a six pack and be, yoked up and ripped and everything. It's cool to say you want to pursue that. But the most efficient way of getting a six pack or getting into really great shape is to watch your diet, to watch what you're eating, And I'm sure obviously getting enough exercise, but like what you put into yourself, like what you feed yourself, like makes getting a six pack a byproduct. Kind of like what Schwarzenegger said. What does he say? That abs are made in the kitchen, right? They're not made doing crunches. So it's the same thing like fertilizer, just throwing random stuff at the lawn and hoping for the best. You can get it to look a little bit better, but if you really want it to look nice and have that staying power where it's consistently green, looks good, like year after year, month after month, that's where soil testing and building a program based around that really, in my opinion, is the way to go. All right, next up is Fairway Bermuda. He says, hey Ron, let's try this spring or fall soil testing. Which one? I am just getting data on the lawn. Everything is good. Thanks. Okay, cool. So yeah. Oh, you're asking spring or fall. Oh, I like both. If I could only do one, probably the spring. If I can only do one, probably the spring, because then you know what you should be doing to the lawn for that growing season. Because if you did only one in the fall, here's the thing: the benefits of the one in the fall is you can measure the effectiveness of what you did over the course of the growing season. But the thing about the fall test that I really like, Daryl, is that if your pH is starting to get out of whack, it gives you time to fix it. You know, so if, let's say, for example, you do a soil test just one time in the springtime and you find out your soil pH is like 5.2, right? So you're really low. So you can do a lime app, but it takes a while for that lime to react with the soil and begin raising the pH. Now, if you'd known that in the fall, you could have got your lime application down then. And by springtime rolls around, you're just good to go. You're just going to be loving life, buying your fertilizer and getting ready to dominate the neighborhood. So I think there's benefits to doing two per season, spring and fall. If you could only do one, spring is what I would opt for. But again, compared to what they cost, for example, like once you have the probe, once you have this tool, like literally these are like $30. They're not that expensive. And the data that they provide really saves you a lot of money and buying the right stuff for your lawn. So I think it's worth doing twice a year, but if you only do one, springtime. That's my final answer. All right, next up is Andrew's trying to help out Liz, talking about fungus issues. He says, yeah, it could be brown spots, could be fungus, or could be insects, could be a lot of different things. And that's why pictures are really helpful to having pictures, and also knowing what you've done in the lawn throughout the course of this year. It'd be helpful to getting an answer for you. So hope that helps. I'll look out for your email and we'll do our best to get you all squared away. Next up is Carlos Bob. He says, got some large brown dead spots by Bermuda here in Georgia. I'm assuming it's armyworms, but I haven't been able to confirm. I sent an email with the subject Carlos Bob. All right, so let's see here. Do I have an email from you? Actually, I do. That is nasty. Oh, Lord. It could be armyworm, but that looks really matted down, man. I don't know if that's armyworms. Could be. I can, some of these pictures are ginormous. I can see about converting some of them and showing them in the live stream here. Let's see if this works, Carlos. Let's see what we got here. We will chance it. First of all, armyworms, you can often see them visually on the surface. If you want to know what armyworms can look like in a lawn while they're living their best life and destroying a lawn, it will look something, or it can look, not always, it can look something like this. So you see them, you can actually see the guys doing their damage, having fun, having a big block party in this lawn, chewing things up, eating it up, doing their thing. So it could be armyworms, and this is a picture that you sent to me. We'll get one of them up here. Let me get this so we can actually show the audience. We can show the crowd, and they can all weigh in on what their thoughts are of what's going on here. We'll see if this loads. So that's picture one. So you do have some spots that are kind of splotchy looking. I mean, it could be armyworms. But you should be able to see them too. You know what I mean? You should be able to. There's another picture he posted here that we got, another close up. It could be, man, but that also looks really matted down and it looks kind of thatchy to me too. You know what I mean? But thatch in of itself shouldn't cause what we see in this picture here. Like this one where it looks like splotchy and discolored in different spots. Like I wouldn't imagine that. That looks almost like a lawn that's starting to go into dormancy, but it's too early for that. So it could be armyworms. If you can, get down in the lawn and see if you see them, because they, you typically can often see them in the lawn, visually in the surface. So if you want to do an insecticide application, what I would say to go with is a Celiprin. I can show you here. We can go over to the store, go to shop and fungicide, insecticide. And so you have a couple of options. If you think if you have a backpack sprayer, then I would go for the Acelyprin SC for the super concentrate. Reason being is that you can you can spray it you can mix it at a lower concentration that is specific for targeting armyworms. And if you have a backpack sprayer, it's really easy to apply. Either one of these guys is going to be equally effective. Either one is going to work well. But if you have a backpack sprayer and you're comfortable using it, then the Acelyprin, the concentrate, is the one that I would go with. From a standpoint of coverage, they both cover about the same square footage. And there's videos in the description for both of these. I can show you in Acelyprin. There's a video in each of these that shows you how I mix it, how I like to mix and use it. So it just depends on which way you feel more comfortable. That's for the liquid. And then for the granular, there's one is here as well that shows application rates and spreader settings and all that fun jazz. So you've got options, Carlos Bob. It could be armyworms. It could be, but I'd imagine you'd be able to see some here and there throughout the lawn. If you want to be safe, you just want to get an insecticide down, Acelyprin is what I would use. So hope that helps, sir. Thanks for sending the pictures. And if we can help with anything else, let me know. Let's see. Andrew Phillips says, "Well, I do have a chemistry degree." LOL. Okay, well that makes sense. That's why you want that. It makes sense now why you want the pH and soil moisture meter, because you're a guy that likes data. I get it. It makes a lot more sense now. All right, career choice. Let's see here. Career choices 912 says, "Thank you, Ron, for your persistence and consistency with the channel, which has inspired me to continue my education and study for my Georgia private commercial applicator's license." Nice. You can take the exam. We'll keep you all posted. Very, very cool, man. Yeah, let me know how you do as far as that. And from what I understand, I mean, the exam isn't too bad. So as long as you prep for it, you shouldn't have a problem with it. Shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, man, I'm glad that the channel has been motivating, and that you're going to go actually get a career doing this now, which is very cool. Because people really hate weeds in their lawns, and if you're good at keeping weeds out of their lawns and or eliminating weeds they currently have in their lawns, people will give you money for that. So good luck. The best of luck. Definitely keep us posted on as far as how you do. All right. D. Buckley says, "I have a boatload of quackgrass. Any suggestions on how to get rid of it? Would like to overseed with Kentucky bluegrass and tall fescue." I'm not sure. What kind of grass do you have, D. Buckley? I think Revolver will kill quackgrass. Let me look here really quick. But I believe it's only for it's only for warm season grass, I believe. So the kind of grass you have would be useful to know. Trying to think of what else will do it. I'm not sure if Certainty will do quack grass. Nope, it's not on the Revolver label. I don't know, man. I'm not sure on that one. But knowing which kind of grass you have, D. Buckley, would be useful. Like you say, you're going to be overseeding with Kentucky bluegrass and tall fescue, but does that mean you have cool season grass, or do you have a warm season lawn that you're going to, say you're going to try and do a cool season blend on it? Yeah, I'm not sure. On quackgrass, I don't have the one off the top of my head, so I will I'll take a screenshot of that and get you an answer for next week. I'll take that one put that one in the research column for el semana que viene. Good stuff. Let me take a look here really quick at Certainty, because I want to say I thought that was on the Certainty label. I think I've seen that before. And yeah, it is. Cool. So Certainty will kill it, according to this. It'll control quackgrass. However, Certainty is for warm season grass. So it would only work like the Certainty would only be the option if you have a Bermuda lawn and you're going to overseed with fescue and the Kentucky bluegrass is like your fall overseed. If you have cool season grass, then do not use Certainty. And I don't have an answer for you if you do have cool season grass. So what I'll do is this. Either way, I got a screenshot of your question. We know that Certainty is an option for warm season grass. I will do some research and see what options there are for cool season grass for quackgrass. I don't know if Tenacity will do it or not, but I will do some digging. I guess I can look really quick and see. I'm not sure if Tenacity will do it, but I'll look and get you a good answer for next week, assuming if you'll come around. We can check the label real quick here and see if quackgrass is on it. Yeah, I know. I'll look into it. But yeah, if you don't mind, D. Buckley, just so I know, let me know whether you have cool season or warm season grass, if your main lawn is. And let me see what your next... Read the next comment, Ron, because he says, cool season grass in New York. All right, well, in that case, ignore what I said about certainty. Don't use certainty on your lawn. I'll do some... I'll make it a research topic to figure out what to use for quackgrass on your cool season lawn in New York. So... sorry about that. I didn't read the next comment because I literally stopped doing one at a time. So I'll do some digging and I'll get you an answer. All right, next up is Braden Rubin, where he says, hey, sorry, I joined late eating dinner with the fam. No worries, it happens, right? Gotta eat. Sorry if you already answered the question already, but have you put down pre-emergent yet? Yes, I have. Or are you still waiting? No, I'm not. I know in Bama it's been cooling off pretty good. Yes, I've already done pre-emergent in my lawn. I've already done my lawn, Alex's lawn, and the project lawn, and the neighbor next door has gotten pre-emergent as well. So yes, yep, already did my pre-emergent app as well. And I appreciate you coming to come hang out after dinner with the fam, having dinner with the fam, man. So you could be sitting back and, you know, watching the news or TV or whatever it's like to do, but instead you're hanging out with this group of fine people talking about lawn care, right? Which is very much appreciated. All right, LJ is up next. He says, hello, Ron. I put down 007 and Milo in Atlanta. Anything else I need to do? Thanks. Not really. Just mow your grass. Just keep mowing it. While it's still growing, keep mowing it. I'm assuming that the 007 is a Prodiamine or a pre-emergent type product. So if that's the case, and you also use some Milo, you should be good to go. Just keep mowing the lawn and keep doing your thing, man. And just wait for it to check out. All right, next up is Autumn Henry. She says, best lawn guy on YouTube. You're a little bit biased, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it, sweetie. Thank you so much for coming to hang out. And but you are biased. You're definitely, you know, it's kind of awesome. It's kind of obvious you're biased. But I do appreciate that. All right, Liz Lou says, thank you. I've been looking at your videos. Just too scared to ask questions. Why are you too scared to ask questions? You know what happens? You know what happens when people ask me questions and they don't phrase the question exactly right. And they, you know, it's kind of a silly question. You know what happens, right? I answered anyway, so it doesn't really matter. There's no reason to ask questions. The only thing is not to answer a question. What would be bad is to go out and just, you know, go down to Home Depot or one of the big box stores and then look at the herbicide and fertilizer aisle and just kind of, you know, say, that one. Pick something out and throw it on your lawn and hope for the best. That would not be smart. Like that was something that would not be good. But asking a question, that's always, there's no problem with that. No shame in that at all. And again, if you send me pictures of it, of what's going on with your lawn and explain everything that's happening, I will do my best to help you out. All right, next up is Ribido. It says, hey, Ron, I have mold problems. I've tried everything, pesticides to kill the insects they eat, bait, and even your water methods, still getting trails. Central Florida with St. Augustine. So some people also use, there's traps you can use for moles, Ribido. So you don't have an Alex next door that can come and, put a stick upside the head, unfortunately. So I can't, and he's, I can't lend Alex out. There's only one Alex, and he's right next door. So all jokes aside, people that get rid of moles, they tend to take a multi-pronged approach. So you are doing the right things by trying to eliminate grubs and some of the insects they eat. You can also, using a poison or a bait is good, but also if you can also limit how much water you're putting in your lawn. And here's a problem. In Florida, it rains pretty much every day. But if you can also ensure your soil is not overly saturated, like it's not too soggy and damp, that will also help with moles too, because it's way easier for them to burrow through really soft and like an overly damp lawn, wet lawn, than one that is not. So, but outside of what you're already doing, the only other thing I can say at this point is just get some traps. They do make traps for moles that you could use, but it's an ongoing battle, man. I mean, I got lucky that he did it on camera and got caught. And then, I had to bring over the regulator to come handle business. So So yeah, but that's what I would say. I would say keep doing the things you're doing, as far as keep using the bait, keep if you're already using an insecticide, at least annually, keep doing that. But also try, if you can, try and limit how much water you're putting into the lawn as well. That's something else you can do as well too. And then start looking into traps for the moles as well. So hope that helps. I really dislike moles, man. I mean, I've only had one, and the amount of damage they can do in a short period of time is really, really irritating. So yeah. All right, Rubidos is up next. He says, I have an area under a tree that no matter what I do, I always have some moths fly up and then walk by, thinking my problem is killing the insects the moles eat. Thoughts? It could be, yeah. So I mean, if you can eliminate their food source, because here's the thing, grubs aren't the only thing they eat. But if you can eliminate their food source and do those other things, like start having poisons, so you're killing off some of them. You allow the soil to dry out a little bit, as much as you can in Florida because it rains all the time. Like a combination of things will reduce the population and make your lawn less appealing to them and make them go somewhere else. That's what you're really trying to do. You're trying to make it to where your lawn is less of a cool place to hang out than the lawn across the street, or somewhere else. In other words, obviously you don't want to wish moles on your neighbor's lawn, but you don't want them in your lawn. So that combination of things over time is what's going to help you to get rid of them. All right, D. Buckley says, thanks, Ron Henry. I'm a fan. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Sorry for going off on that big segue about certainty, because, again, I literally read the comments one after another. I guess I should probably read 2 or 3 ahead, so that way I'll know that you have a cool season grass versus trying to give you a solution for warm season grass, right? But I'll look into it. I'll look into what we can do to get rid of quack grass in a KBG and fescue lawn. Sounds like a fun challenge. You said you're drinking a bourbon and watching you. This is fun. What kind of bourbon are you drinking, man? I like a good bourbon now and then. But you gotta let me know what you're sipping on. Very cool. And then Alexander Thomas is saying quinclorac for cool season quack grass. Cool. So there you go. See, so Alexander Thomas already knew. He's like, hey, man, I got you, Ron. I got the assist. Put me in. So check the label. Obviously, make sure that it is labeled for that. I have no reason to think that Alex is wrong. He's probably correct that you can use quinclorac for quack grass. But make sure you read the label, because to get the best out of quinclorac, you want to use an MSO with it, and the label does specify how the ratios you want to use for mixing that to get the best result. So if you feel like supporting the channel, although you probably should be supporting Alex because he actually gave you the answer, right? You can get quinclorac using my link, which costs you no more money, but it's a way to support the channel if you feel like doing that. But again, read the label, as far as as far as to know how to mix the product properly and apply it properly to your lawn. So let's see, at D Buckley, there you are, and then this is the link to quinclorac. I appreciate you, Alex. Thanks so much for the assist, sir. Thanks for the help. All right, next up is Trav Smitty. He says, I got an Allet Sterling. I got the Allet Sterling. I'm excited to get it. Okay, so it's still en route to you then. Joining the real world. Awesome. Well, awesome, and I'm sorry. My apologies ahead of time. He says, I used to mow greens when I was a kid. I need to get in your store and order some Prodiamine. Just picked up the Typhoon 2.5. Nice. Yeah, man. Yeah, go to the Golf Course Lawn Store. We carry a lot of stuff in there. We carry dithiopyr, Prodiamine in both granular and liquids, whichever vintage is your way to go. And yeah, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate the love and support. And you're going to like this Sterling. It's a nice mower. I mean, it's a really, really nice mower. I mean, if I had a smaller lawn, that is what I would use. It's a really nice bit of kit. It's nice. It's well put together. It's not cheap, but like anything else, right? You want good and high quality. Cheap typically doesn't go there, right? But I mean, I think you're really going to enjoy the equipment. And if you can, Trav Smitty, even if you don't have it yet, at some point spring for some of the cultivation cartridges. If you have, you can see what kind of grass you have, but let's say you have Bermuda, getting at least the turf rake or the verticutting cartridge is good to have. If you can get both of them, that would be ideal. But but getting at least one of them is a good idea. Verticutting probably I don't know, either one, but I mean both. The answer is both. The answer is really both, because the thing is, you don't want to verticut your lawn every time you mow, but turf raking you can do practically every time before you mow it if you wanted to, if you had the time to do it. So they both have their benefits. So I would say definitely if you're getting the mower, don't just only use it to cut grass. Get the cultivation cartridges. That's the real benefits of a mowing system like that. Good stuff, man. Congrats. And then David Polanco says, "Echo, best lawn guy on YouTube." I don't know about that, man. I'm decent at Bermuda stuff and like just doing. If you want to say like as far as like live streaming and Q&A and like making, I guess, kind of trying to create a fun environment for people to hang out and just talk about lawns, then yes, I'll take that. But as far as like best lawn guy on YouTube, there's quite a few people ahead of me on that one, in my opinion. All right, next up is Jesus Prado. He says, What's the difference between Yard Mastery Flagship 2406 with 3% iron and the Lesco 50-pound 24011 with 3% iron? The Lesco is $7 cheaper, and surprisingly, the particle size is amazing. It's super fine. So I'm not familiar with the Lesco product, Jesus, but it depends. You can't, for one, obviously, you've got more potassium in the Lesco product than you do in the Flagship. But what you want to look at is when you look at the label for the Lesco, there will be the amount of, look at how much of the product is slow release fertilizer, because like they're not saying they're both 24% nitrogen doesn't mean they're all good. They're going to perform the same way. You know what I mean? Like the Flagship is a relatively quick release product, meaning you can apply it every 4 to 6 weeks on your lawn if you wanted to. I don't know what the Lesco is. It might be the same thing. It might be very similar. What else is different? The Yard Mastery also has micronutrients. Like all the fertilizers, they put micronutrients in them. So you're going to get some iron, some zinc, some manganese, boron, copper. It has a complete suite of micronutrients in that product as well. I don't know if the Lesco has that. It says it has 3% iron, but I don't know about the other micronutrients. So that might be a difference. And saying it's $7 cheaper, yes, I can't argue with you on that one. But the thing is, you realize too, is a lot of times when you're buying like fertilizer, like when you go to the golf course lawn store and you buy like a bag of Flagship, like a lot of what you're paying for is shipping. Because the shipping like 45 pounds of fertilizer across the country is not cheap. Like people that are really making all the money are like UPS and FedEx, unfortunately. But those are things that come to mind. Like how the nitrogen releases could be different. The way you can know that is if you look at, actually, I can show you here. You can look at what percentage of slow release nitrogen is in the product. Let me see. Do I have a label here that I can look at? I think I do. Let me see here. I have the one for Humic Max. Let me pull that one up, because that one I can show you easier, even though we don't have Humic Max, but the example is the same either way. Okay, so if we, because this is a good label here. If we look at this label, go there. All right, and get your comment up so you can actually read it. If we look at this, so this is a 1608 product, right? So you'd say, okay, if I have another fertilizer that's also 1608, they should be exactly the same, right? Not necessarily, because if you look here, out of that 16% nitrogen, what you'll find is there's going to be these asterisks next to the different types of nitrogen that are in that 16% nitrogen, and the asterisks typically designate what percentage of the 16% or whatever the percentage of nitrogen fertilizer you're looking at, like what percentage is slow release nitrogen. So if you have like a 1608 product, which I don't think there really are that many of them, but if you had a 1608 that was, say, all slow release nitrogen, that's going to perform very differently than a product that is mostly quick release and has, in this case, about 4% slow release nitrogen. So that's a way you can compare the nitrogen that's in the fertilizers to see how they're going to perform and how they're going to release into your soil. And then all the other additives are things you can look at as well too. Again, with the Yard Mastery Ferts, I know that they have a complete suite of micronutrients, where it sounds like the Lesco product you're talking about has iron. It might have other things too, but it sounds like it's only iron. So that's things you can look at. But I mean, either way, you should get a good result with either one. So whichever one is easier for you to get your hands on and is producing a good result, go with it, is what I would say. All right, next up is Lois H. She says, Ron, I had mold problems like Ribido. The damage they did looks like the pictures you showed. It took a combination of baits and traps. I put baits on each side of the traps. I got 2 so far. I use worms, not the granules. Yeah, so for the poison, that she's talking about is there's one called, I think it's called Talprid mole bait. So let me see if I can have I think I've got a link for that here that I can show you. I can show you Ribido. Let me see, mole. Yeah, Tomcat makes one. Tomcat makes one, and Talprid makes one. Let me make sure this still works, and it does. Yeah. So this product is one you can look into, and there's also another product called Talprid. It's like Talprid is how it's spelled. So at Ribido, and then this is Tomcat. I'll say mole killer. That mole bait is something you can do. But like Lois said, and as I also said earlier, it's a combination of things. It's eliminating their food source, not having the lawn being like super crazy saturated with water, and then a combination in her case, baits and traps to get rid of them. So, and all the combination of all those things make your lawn less appealing than the neighbor's lawn, so they'll go somewhere else, right? That's what we really want. That's what we're really after. Good stuff. Thanks for chiming in, Lois. She said that the grass is growing back in the damaged areas. So good stuff. Sounds like your project, the work that you are doing worked out. Liz says, emailed out, Ron. Thanks. I forgot to mention I mow once a week. Okay, cool deal. Once the live stream's over, I will look at it and I will get you an answer tonight. I'll work on it. I'll get you an answer tonight based on what you threw in the email. And then Jesus says, what's the difference? I think I got you. I covered that, Jesus. It sounds like they're fairly similar. One has, again, the Let's Go product, if you need potassium, actually has more than the Yard Mastery, so it might be a better choice if you need potassium in your soil. If you need, a complete set of micronutrients, then the Flagship's a better options. But they're fairly close. I'd imagine you would get good results with either one of them. And then Dave Buckley says a Weller 12-year. I don't know the Weller, but it's just 12-year. Yeah, 12 years is good. 12 or longer is good when it comes to bourbon. So nice. Good stuff, man. All right. And then she says in her case, they live in the moist mulch beds and then travel to your lawn. Yeah, they like damp, easy to live in or soft areas to live in soil. So as counterintuitive as it is, if you can limit how much water you're putting into your lawn, that will help some as far as keeping the moles out as well. All right, Jared Alwyn says, hey, Ron, what's up? What's going to be your video plan for the winter? Same thing as last year, man. It's going to be a fungicide here in a few weeks, and then just live stream. Just keep doing this. Keep answering questions. Still hanging out with you guys. That's going to be it. I might put down the stress blend, like a light potassium, a light nitrogen fertilizer, and then a high potassium. Maybe I haven't decided yet. I typically don't do very much as far as a winterizer goes, but what I primarily do this time of year is focus on not having fungus problems next year, which means not pushing too much nitrogen and getting a fungicide down. That's in a nutshell is what I'm going to be doing. We got the lawn whisperer in the house. What's going on, man? What's going on, Justin? Thanks for coming to hang out, sir. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're better on the mend from all the damage, all the leg damage that you suffered. And the new lawn is doing well, I hope, or the house is doing well. The lawn is not really where it needs to be just yet, I'm sure. All right, next up is Ricardo911. He says, question, is it common for Bermuda grass to be extremely thin? Depends. I had a soil test and used the product suggested from the test, but I'm struggling to get my grass to thicken up and look great. So what you'll find, Ricardo, he has another point here. He says, also I have black streaks across my lawn. So weird. Black streaks. I don't know. Can you send me pictures of it? If you can, send me pictures of your lawn, of the streaks you're talking about, like here. ron@golfcourselawn.com is my email. I'll take a look. But as far as what causes it to be thin, a couple of things. One, if it's not getting enough shade, enough sunlight, that will cause Bermuda to become thin. If you're mowing it tall, so a Bermuda lawn that's grown very tall and not mowed frequently will be thin. So as far as getting it to thicken up, one, ensuring it's getting enough sunlight, which your ability to change that is limited in a lot of cases, but also mowing a lot. Believe it or not, like picking up your mowing frequency is going to help the lawn thicken up. to really get a good looking lawn, regardless of what kind of grass you have, really getting out there twice a week is what it's going to take. You know, if you're only mowing once a week, it's going to look okay, but mowing twice a week is what it's really going to take to have a really good looking lawn. So if you're mowing the grass tall, combination of shade, and you're not mowing it frequently, all those things can contribute to the lawn being thin. Whereas if you mow more frequently and you have a good fertilization program, that will help the lawn to thicken up. So a good fertilization program is going to help you get good soil and help the grass in general do well. But as far as getting it to thicken up, mowing is going to really help accelerate that. So mow more frequently, and the lawn will thicken up. It sounds kind of counterintuitive. Like, why would I cut the grass more if I want to get thicker? But as you cut it more frequently, you're training it to, because instead of trying to grow up, it'll start to crawl or grow laterally, so it can still catch sunlight, right? So, but if you allow it to grow to 3.5 inches, the grass doesn't really have a reason to get thick because it's got plenty of, like, it's like basically a small little tree you got growing in your lawn, right? Whereas if you're cutting it shorter and you're cutting it more frequently, then you're going to start causing the Bermuda grass to begin to creep, which is when it really begins to thicken up and look nice. So something to consider. If you want, send me pictures of the streaks you have on your lawn, the black streaks. I've not really heard of that one before, so having a picture of it would be good to be able to see what's going on in your lawn. All right, next up we have Jesus Prado. He says, how much nitrogen do you put down per month per 1,000 square feet? Like most things, Jesus, the best answer is it depends. For Bermuda, I like 8/10 of a pound to 1 pound of nitrogen per month. So the conventional wisdom for Bermuda says 4 to 5 pounds per year. So you really are only going to be applying that whenever the grass is actively growing. So anywhere between 8/10 of a pound to 1 pound per month when the grass is actively growing is going to produce a really good result. I tend to err more towards that 8/10 of a pound rate because I do a lot of other things to really help maximize the nutrient uptake in my lawn. So I use a pretty solid biostimulant program to where a lot of the fertilizer that I put in doesn't just leach right out of the soil. Like I've got, by putting a lot of biochar into the soil, that helps the layer where the grass grows to retain a lot of that nutrient, which makes it available to the grass for longer. So I'm able to get away with running a little bit lower nitrogen amounts than most people would say you actually should be using in Bermuda. But in general, a pound of nitrogen per month when it's actively growing is going to produce a good results in most cases. Your next question is, when am I applying pre-emergent? Already done. So already done. It was done last week. So I've already applied pre-emergent. So if you're waiting, I would get it done. If you were my neighbor, I'd say get your pre-emergent application down. Like Alex is down, and again the project lawn is done, and the neighbor next door is also done. So we've already got pre-emergent in our lawns. And the next up you've got here is any recommendations. I think it's the last question of the evening. He says, any recommendations on what to use instead of transport tires for the Toro Greensmaster 1000? The seller didn't have any transport tires, and to buy some, they are $250. Good grief, that's expensive. Any alternatives besides tires? Not that I'm aware of. Here's the thing. What I might do is this. I might look on some of the like check Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, check any of the places that sell used reel mowers and see if they'll sell you a used set, because I get it. $250 for a set of tires is not inexpensive. It's kind of steep actually, but that's really going to be your best bet. I mean, I guess, could you make something? Yeah, I guess you could like machine something that will like tires that will slide on to the cogs, and I guess you could do that. But I mean, by the time you researched it and actually machined it and built the tires and did all of it, other than just being able to say, hey, I did it myself and I have something that's kind of custom, you might actually be better off just buying them. You know what I mean? As painful as it would be to spend $250 for a set of tires, that might be the best bet. But to get one cheaper, I would check the auction places or some of the Facebook groups and see if anyone there has a set that they want to be willing to part with. That is what I would go with. Okay, good question here. Is Tony Turner. He says, is the TrueCut C27 a good mower? Yes, it's not a good mower. It's an excellent mower. It's an excellent lawn mower. Depends on what you're trying to achieve, but it's in that tier of reel mowers. It's one of my favorites. So I'd say that when it comes to mowers, I put them in a couple different tiers. You got like the push mowers, which is one tier. You got the first tier of powered reel mowers, which in that category, I'll put the California Trimmer, the McLean, and then the True Cut. Out of those three, I personally like the True Cut the most. And the people that have McLeans and not California Trimmers and love them, I'm not throwing shade on those. They're great mowers. But out of those, I like the True Cut the most. I like the propulsion system in the True Cut the most out of those three. And then you can go into the next, then you can move into like the drum propulsion type mower, your greens mowers, like those, like your Toro Greens Masters, your John Deeres, your some of your Allets. Like that's when you're getting into more expensive mowers. And really with those, you get a better cut and better stripes and a bit more versatility. But the C27 is still a great mower, man. I'm telling you. I mean, get yourself a C27, throw a grooved roller on it, and it's gonna look really. You're gonna get a really good cut. Like I was cutting with not a Greensmaster, with a True Cut. When did I get mine? 2017. So I cut with a True Cut up until I got my greens mower, which was when 2020, 2021, 2020. I think last year, either last year or the year before last year. Is when I got it. So I've cut with a True Cut longer than I've cut with any other mower, and I got a really good result cutting with a True Cut. So it's a great mower. They're really rugged. So and they're easy to take care of. A little bit of chain lube, a couple times throughout the season, sharpen it, and then don't run over sticks or concrete or pine cones, and you're gonna be good to go. Yeah, it's a great mower. Next up is Jesus. He's back. He says, at what temps does your Arden 15 go dormant? It's I know that's a good question. I'm not sure actually what temperature, but it goes dormant sooner or goes dormant later than the Tifway does. Like what's going to happen is the lawn looks okay now. In a few months, a couple of months, it's going to start looking really splotchy and weird because the parts that are mainly Arden are going to still be green, and the parts that are not Arden, that are Tifway, are going to fall off faster. Actually, if you look at a video series that I did on the channel, like if you go to YouTube and you do like just search for Arden 15 versus Tifway, you will find a series that I filmed not last year, I think it's maybe 2 years ago at this point, where every single week I videotaped the lawn and I showed how it was transitioning from not from being green into dormancy. I think it was over the course of like 10 weeks. So if you want to see like how a lawn will fall off from being green to dormant between Arden 15 and Tifway 419, that video series is what you want to watch, because literally every week for 10 weeks, that is what I did. So it's kind of a niche video series, not a ton of views, but for what you're asking, Jesus, you can actually watch that and you'll be able to see it. As far as temperatures, I can't tell you for sure. I don't think I was taking soil temperatures as part of that series. I don't believe I was. But I'll tell you that Arden 15 goes dormant later, or much later than Tifway does. He says, this is my first year with Arden 15. That's why I'm asking. I've heard it can last longer in colder temps. Yes, that is true. That part is true. How much longer, I don't know. And then Archie Amos says, why don't you raffle off your Greensmaster? No, I can't do that. Why would I get, no, I don't want to get rid of my Greensmaster. Because here's why, Archie. Here's why. And there's a reason for it. And hear me out. It's going to sound crazy, but hear me out. Right now, the Allet is down. Like it's out of commission. As far as like, I can use it for turf raking. I can use it for like verticutting, but I can't actually cut with it because the cutting cartridge is off getting sharpened. And I still got to mow. Now I could use the True Cut, but why not use the Greensmaster, which produces a really good cut, just like the Allet, so where I don't really have to, suffer in like how my cut quality looks. So I need like a backup mower. I need a backup for the backup. And then the True Cut is like my first powered reel mower, so I can't sell that, and it cuts certain parts of the lawn that no other mower can cut. So it's not, you can't, I don't look at it as like I have three mowers. And again, this is where the craziness kind of comes in. I don't really have three mowers. Like I have like a tool for different parts of the lawn. So that's what that is. That's why I can't get rid of the Greensmaster, because I need it. You know who you need to talk to? Not me. Dwayne. If Dwayne is still here, Dwayne's World, talk to him. That's the man that has a problem with mowers. He's got like, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 at this point. And some of them are duplicates, whereas none of my mowers are duplicates. They all serve a very specific purpose. So I cannot get rid of the Greensmaster at this point. Not yet. Maybe one day, but not yet. And guys, gals, I think, let me see here. I have a question about backlapping. Yeah, one for Jesus. He says, he says, are you backlapping or grinding your reel for the outlet? I'm going to get it ground, Jesus. I did backlap it. I backlapped it a couple of times, which did a good job. It did produce, it did get it sharpened and was fine with cutting. But if you were standing in front of the mower, so you're facing the mower, the right side of the reel, that area is not cutting paper. So like the left side, the middle is cutting paper, is doing a pretty good job cutting paper consistently, but that right side is not. And even if I close up the reel to bed knife clearance a little bit, it still doesn't do a great job. And it gets to the point where there's more contact than I want. So that's a good, when that happens, that's when it's time to take the mower out and get it sharpened. You know what I mean? Whenever it stops cutting paper, and you backlap it and it's still not cutting paper, and you go in on I think what the Greensmaster, on the bed bar adjustment screw is what Toro refers to it as, and it's still not cutting paper, that's when it's time to go out and get a grind put on it. And it's time to do that with the allets. So there you go. Well, guys and gals, that is the last question of the evening. So that's all we have for tonight. And guys, I really, really do appreciate you guys coming to hang out. I know there's other places you could be on a Friday night, other things you could be doing on a Friday night, but I really appreciate that you guys take the time to come and hang out with me and talk about lawn care and football and world events and IT stuff and all that kind of stuff. I really, really, really do appreciate it. If you guys are still in the need of pre-emergent and you can't get any locally or just feel like supporting the store, we do have an assortment of Prodiamine and dithiopyr in stock in the store that's ready and for shipment, as well as your soil test kits, as well as your insecticides if you need them, and Primo Max, which for you cool season guys, the window is still very much open for you guys to use growth regulator on your lawn. Really do appreciate all you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Have an amazing, amazing, amazing weekend. Get out and do something fun in your lawn. If you got cool season grass, overseed it. If you got warm season grass and you're glutton for pain, overseed it, knowing you get to spray it out. And if you're just like me and you're basic, just put some pre-emergent down. Until next weekend, guys. Take care.